has been reasonably okay. I've been doing, well, you know, a few bits and pieces. Yesterday I had a job which was, actually, it was putting some information into a modem. Not just that, it was also mucking around with, excuse me. It's also mucking around with some of that stuff. Basically, her modem wouldn't connect to the internet, so I set it up for her and made sure that the internet was all set up for her and, you know, everything was good. So that person can't really send any messages anymore. That's unfortunate. It happens there. But yeah, no, it's not a bad morning so far. I've got no complaints. I'm feeling pretty good this morning. I'm gonna have a few extra cups of coffee. Might play a couple of games in between that, and of course I may have some few jobs in between that as well. You never know. There's always that distinct possibility because I do. Sometimes I get a lot of work, sometimes I get very little. It just depends on the time of the year and the time of day, and not just that, but the different times, different situations, of course. Fucking stupid cunt of a fucking phone and the consistency of this fucking charger cable, which is kind of annoying. I did buy this charger cable online. Didn't have any initial problems with it, but now I'm having issues with trying to get it to actually plug into my phone correctly. What it is a magnetic tipped charger. Now that is the most frustrating shit in the world, I gotta tell you, mainly because it should not be doing this. It should not be fucking up as much as it's been fucking up lately. Which is absolutely giving me the fucking, like, I'm annoyed here, I'm pissed with the fucking phone itself. Well, that's alright. It's a consistency thing. That's the problem with most electronic, or not all electronic technology, but some electronic technology. The way it is produced these days, it is fucking shithouse by design to start with. And you know what, I don't think everything is that way, but I think most things initially are. That's just, you can't avoid it, unfortunately, but that's just a sad part of life. Sad but unfortunate, people. You cannot avoid bad electronics. You can try and avoid them, but no, it doesn't always work that way. So let's see. Pretty good this morning, though. Let's see. Temperatures this morning, the temperatures, let's see, the temperature is this morning. It is, look, it is 3 degrees. That's the reason it's so fucking cold. That's the reason I was freezing my fucking tits off this morning, it seems. So yeah, the temperatures have been quite inconsistently fucked in Canberra, and that's the thing I hate about Canberra, especially when it comes to temperature-wise anyway. It can be an absolute pain in the ass to deal with, especially these days. So, let's make sure I've got all this in here anyway. A thing I have been working on though is trying to get more subscribers and more people coming onto my YouTube channel, which is something because I just started to sort of make a relative amount of money out of that. I do have other avenues, of course, for making money, which is my IT repairs and things like that, you know, stuff like that. Sometimes eBay helps too. But yeah, you know, I have my own different avenues for doing things. The other obvious side of things is sometimes you don't necessarily make as much as you want. But, you know, as long as I got enough to pay my bills, that's all I'm worried about at the end of it. Enough to pay my bills and enough to keep myself afloat, which is pretty much the key to any business, or anything, you know, anything these days especially. You've got to live, basically you've got to live where you know, you've got to live consistently. That's pretty much the rule I have when, you know, try to have at least a few different means of, say, for example, you know, well, okay, let's look at the consistency of it. You got to have at least a few things that you can get, or like a few avenues of money making, which is logical. You know, it's hard enough to live on certain things these days, as you know, let alone trying to live on a particular amount, and that's another issue too. But I mean, you know, the other side of it too is, as long as you've got enough money to pay your bills at the end of it, as long as you have enough money to pay your bills, focus on your bills and things of that nature, you're fine. You know, I mean, that's the key. Well, it's mostly the key with these things, particularly these days. But we'll see how it goes. So I might play a couple of games. In between that, I might turn one of these streams. I might turn my Facebook stream off at some point. I'm just going to play it for a little bit longer because I'm mainly on my desktop at the moment, just doing some things on Facebook and some of my social media. I'm just going to go to my. There we go. That's perfect. Let's go to my Instagram. Some of my eBay stuff. I'm just checking some of my things. Let's make sure I've got all these open. There's that. I have noticed a consistency though. My computer is working a lot better. Generally, things are more functional these days, in particular. Anyway, so let's see. All right, go back. So yeah, it's not bad this time of morning. I'm not feeling too bad anyway. I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee, by the way. Get all my stuff fixed up. I've got a few things lying around here and there. I also found a 500 gigabyte. I'll say it again. I found a 500 gigabyte hard drive I didn't realise I had sitting in a drawer. Didn't realise I had it because it was one of my drawers that I usually look for parts. I always tend to keep my parts out in a workshop area, or an area where I can, you know, spread out a bit. Obviously, I can't really do that right now because I'm looking after all my nephews. Well, I got my nephews and all my sister's animals and everything else living with us at the moment. And the reason they're living with us is because they need to move in their new apartment, which is being renovated currently. And it's like a 3 different level thing. I don't know. I haven't talked to I've talked to my sister a little bit about it, but I don't know a massive amount about it. And the truth is, all of it, or pretty much most of it, looks like a lot of it needs to be renovated to suit the situation. And they're going to make it into 3 separate apartments, which has got 3 different levels, obviously. So you know, that's just something you got to do. But it has been a little bit stressful having my family having my nephews, and well, not so much my nephews. They don't really bother me. My nephews rarely bother me. It's the dog that bothers me more than anything else, because he always constantly come up and tries to scratch at me. He'll either scratch at me or he'll consistently want something out of me. It's normally food in most cases, or he wants to go outside and take a shit, or he wants to go outside and take a piss, and that's a constant, you know, thing of him coming in and out. Of course, then he is good to get a hug out of. You know, they're not saying dogs aren't good for, you know, being, affectionate. That's a plus side. I won't say that's a negative side. I'll say that's quite a plus. And the truth is, I think that's totally and utterly a plus in my mind. And that's the thing. That's the conclusion I've come to anyway with that. But he does get a little bit annoying when he constantly raps at you when you're trying to do something. You're trying to type some shit, and when you're trying to randomly type some shit on top of that on screen, he will get in your way and consistently try to stop you from fucking typing, which is hard because all my social media stuff and all my fucking stuff is linked to how I do stuff. You know, whether it's my YouTube or whatever. Some of the stuff I do for fun, but other times I do it to actually get something out of it, a benefit out of it. And you know, in the long run, that's why I do this stuff. Some of it I do. Yes, I admit some of it I do for fun, and I have a bit of fun. I might get a bit drunk or stoned or whatever, you know, have a bit of fun with it. But there's other times where I just do it because it's simply it's what I know how to do. It's not just that, I'm good at it, fucking good at it, and I'm consistent with it as well. You know, that's another factor along those lines anyway, and that's something that I've learned. I've just, you know, I'm good at what I do, and it's just me. That's who I am. You know, I wouldn't be consistent with it as well. You know, that's another factor. I wouldn't be me if I didn't do half the IT stuff that I do. I'll be honest. I've got all my IT degrees. I've got every single one. I mean, if anybody checks the photos on my Facebook, they can see all my IT degrees that I've achieved over the years. I went from my 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 1, 2, so 1, 2, and 3, which is IT repair, which is number 3, and then I went to network administration and things like that, and networking in general. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've got 4 certifications in IT. I don't have any more than that. To be honest, there's a few more things that I wouldn't mind learning. Maybe perhaps I'm considering photography or something like that at a later date. I did do photography for a while. Hence the reason I have a professional looking photography camera. That was pretty cheap though. I know a bargain. I always know how to get a bargain. I always know how to get stuff cheap. I always shop online. I never accept the price that I'm given. I never go by retail pricing. I always check the retail pricing beforehand and the price trending before I buy anything, because I know I've got to know exactly how much something is going to cost me. Not just that, but I got to know whether I'm getting a good deal on it firstly. And I have saved in the past myself $200 or $300 on buying some of the things that I've ever bought. Now, some of this stuff looks pretty damn good. I admit that. And so this computer next to me I built. Alright, I built this computer next to me, but it consistently, I mean, the entire thing, probably at the time when I bought it, I mean, I didn't buy it, I built it out of different parts. It's probably consistently, you know, something that's, as I'd say, the large margin of anyway, but, I mean, that's my point. Shit. Why is that? Hold on a second, I think my internet's being a bitch. Thank you for the consistency of Australian internet, ladies and gents, because it can be an absolute pain in the ass. It really can. He's live now. Consistently, you know, something. Right, so let me just refresh that page. It's probably going to fucking chuck the spaz again. Every time. Every fucking time. I swear to fucking Christ. Every fucking time. There is always some fucking problem with the fucking internet. And this is what the government needs to learn, people. They need to learn that they've done the entire fucking NBN a retarded way. They're fucking dumbasses who can't even figure out the fucking elbow from their arsehole. And the truth is, I'm sick of fucking government being so, you know... They're judgmental of others or anybody on a low income or anything of that nature, and I know what that's like because I have been in that situation, and you know what? It's fucking stupid, it's fucking ridiculous. I think they should also get cactuses shoved up their ass with the amount of bullshit that you have to deal with when it comes to governmental departments or otherwise. It is just fucking sickening. Fucking sickening. The amount of shit that you have to deal with when it comes to bureaucracy in general. I'm sorry, but it's fucking inconsistently bullshit. Alright, hold on a second, so I've completely ended that stream. Let's try that again, shall we? Good evening, let's say good morning. Fuck. The consistency, people. Not that fucking hard. Maybe I'm a bit psychotic about my consistency. That's distinctly possible. But I am a schizophrenic, so I'm justified in my actions with that end result at the end of it. So, you know, fuck it. If I'm going to be a little psychotic and pedantic about my shit, I can choose to do that my way or not. And you know what? Fuck the world, fuck everybody else, and just fuck the entire population if they think that, you know, well, I don't know. I think fuck some people if they think something is just acceptable simply because it was a good enough effort at the time. I'm sorry, but... I've learned to consistently try to do my best if I can help. I mean, I've also had situations where I've done my best really at the max, and I've ended up burning myself out because of it. Now, you know, if I do that, clearly other people do it, so, you know, at the end of it, I don't think there's anything freaking wrong with that stuff, you know, like as I said. Occasionally you got to burn yourself out to you know, get yourself back in the right frame of mind. That's the truth. That's just something I've learned. You occasionally you got to burn yourself out. You don't burn yourself out all the time. That's not a good idea to always do that. But sometimes it helps the situations, and it totally helps you. Not just that, but your mindset sometimes as well. So, you know, it can be a consistency of these things. I did also update to the latest version of Windows as well. Obviously, which let's see. Bitch. I have updated some of my stuff, to be honest, and I've, you know, I have a for fuck's sake, you cockhead. Sorry, I'm trying to get this fucking thing to delete, and it won't delete. You're a cunt. Sorry, there's a little glitch that I'm getting on Facebook every fucking time I log into fucking Messenger. Every fucking single cunt of a time. Every fucking cunt of a time. Fucking this little fucking thing, it blinks, and it won't let me actually click on the delete menu on fucking Facebook. I'm like, what the actual fuck is wrong with this retarded Facebook? And look, at the end of it, I know sometimes it's inconsistency with programming, it's fucking glitches, but oh my fucking god, can you seriously program something properly, you fucking retarded idiots? Thank you, fucking cunthead. Right, there we fucking go, cunt. That's better. Now, the point that I was trying to make, before I was really interrupted by this fucking error, gave me the fucking shits, just saying, is that with a lot of this stuff, I just don't... I don't know. I'm a consistent person. I like consistency. It doesn't matter what it is in life, and I can't fucking delete it again. So I'm going to have to go into the fucking Facebook app, the fucking Messenger app on my fucking computer, and delete it physically from there, because there's no other way I can fucking do it on Facebook. Complete cunt. Oh my god. Okay, hold on a second. Anyway, my point is, okay, so I'm going to fucking grab the stupid fucking Messenger app. Alright. Stupid fucking asshole cunt. It kind of pisses me off. It does piss me off how some of this stuff personally works. I don't get how sometimes some things can work perfectly and then other times you get shit that actually just, you know, fucking kills itself. I can't even understand what she's saying. Her English is not great, but I'll try and translate, I guess. Sorry, I'm just talking to somebody at the moment. I don't know who they are. They added me randomly. I'm always adding random people to get to know them. That's the reason I had to block my friends list off, because I was finding a bunch of scammers were actually getting to, or trying to get to, some of my friends. So, you know, that ultimately was a big issue. But I've learned my lesson. I've blocked my friends list off, and now there is no access to anything, any of that type of information now, which is a plus side. Everything else, of course, I don't mind having out in the public, because that's just stuff that everybody knows anyway. So, you know. Okay, I'm just going to say okay, because I can't really say much else to that. But no, I've had some inconsistency things sometimes in the past. It's not like everything that I have is, you know, necessarily bad or negative. But I have had a few glitches over the years with different computers and different things, and I've always noticed this with personally, even with software in general. There's always going to be some type of glitch in the system. Sometimes it can be a glitch, and other times I do believe that it is distinctly possible that somebody's hacked or made or adjusted something. Because I mean, look at it this way: freeware software and any type of software these days is changing on a regular basis. I love how this person says, do you have a Gmail account? But if she actually looked at any of the links that I sent her, she would have noticed, and I don't know whether it's a she, to be honest, she would have noticed that there is a link, that my email is clearly visible online. Not just that, but, you know, like, my association in life is, you know, devil's in the details. You've got to be able to be consistent with your details. That's something I found as a personal preference point. Not that I criticise people for not being accurate. Well, actually, no, that's not entirely true. Sometimes I do criticise people for being... Sometimes I do criticise people for being inaccurate or having inaccuracies in what they may say or do. There's the same context of the government. You know, the government claims the same thing. That, you know, well, you know, we've got to be accurate. But then the amount of times I've seen the government being inaccurate about dumbass shit is amazing. Actually, wow, it's just statistically and ironically fucked up that the amount of times that I've seen them not do something correctly. Okay, well, you know, my email address is all over the fucking place, but whatever. You know what? I don't know. I'll probably give her my email address and I'll probably get a ton more spam, but it doesn't matter. My spam filter's been pretty good lately, so I haven't been getting it all through to me. So that's not a problem. But wow, like, what the fuck? Some people do amaze me that they don't actually take the initiative to, they don't take the initiative to actually look up my details or anything like that. Like, they don't take the initiative. If they're getting to know me or if they added me, it's like, well, if you're getting to know me, if you've added me, please explain to me why you're not being consistent about looking up my details or anything of that nature. I mean, to be honest, I'm going to surmise, I'm not going to say she's a scam artist. I don't know whether it's even a she for that matter. It's distinctly, I mean, at the end of it, if I really, really want to look the person's details up, IP or otherwise, or anything of that nature, I can always do that. That's not a problem. Whether I choose to or do that all the time just because, you know, somebody's added me, no. I don't go around, I would say, because I classify that as more of a stalking. I check out people's profiles, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with checking people's profiles out, because I think checking a person's profile in general is just a smart idea. Now, I mean, obviously the profile in question that I just pointed out was recently created. Not just that, but recent photos were added and she's adding a bunch of guys. That's the first sign. I mean, the first initial sign, as you may look. Now, I mean, it's consistency, of course. These photos and everything else, they look real, but they could be, ultimately, if you want to do a reverse image search on this stuff yourself, reverse image search on most of it, okay, did I see any information from you? Well, I don't know, I wasn't really looking. Here we go again. Isn't that lovely? I don't know, as I said, I am, at the end of it, I am a businessman. You know, not just that, but I'm also consistently a good guy. I try to be a good guy to other people. And you know what, just because I act a little fucking nuts, and I am nuts, which, you know, that's just consistency for me because I'm fucking crazy to start with. Yes it is. That's not a problem. But the other side of it too is I think there's something a little easier with Google. Like, I don't know, like Facebook is not that easy now because they're cracking down a lot of stuff. They're cracking down a lot of fake accounts and things of that nature. And that's mostly the issue that gets started with most people. Is you can normally tell if somebody, well, at the end of it, you can normally tell if somebody is Well, it's pretty easy. Most of the time you can tell, like, either the accounts were created recently, or there's inconsistencies with the pictures, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that you can go with. But the personal conclusion I've come to is that I don't know, there's different types of networks, but I mean, like, there's always going to be some new hack available, or there's always going to be something available these days that is going to, I say, in the long run, there's always going to be something that's, I mean, look, everything is hackable if you play it smart, you know what I mean? And the truth is, nothing is unhackable. The only time that it becomes an issue is when you got like two-level authentication, which is obviously something that, you know, just makes sense. You link it to your mobile phone, then you have to get it. Your mobile phone has to authorize that, and a lot of that stuff helps. I find it interesting, though. I do find it kind of interesting how people respond to different things. I've noticed a consistency of how people convey themselves. It's not just how people convey themselves, but it's how they give themselves across. I don't think everybody out there is out there to scam you, and I don't think everybody is a like a negative influence or anything of that nature. But I've seen plenty of people create fake account after fake account after fake. I've seen somebody create like 50 freaking fake accounts, like, consistently. And they pretty much create these accounts for the entire purpose of either trying to lure in men onto the assumption of sexual... It can be to do with that. It can be either they want sex or they're trying to achieve a sexual result, or they're trying to use sex as leverage or emotional manipulation. That doesn't really work on me because I'm a perv to start with. That's one part of it. I'm a perv, but that's not the consistency of it. How long? Okay, hold on a second. Her English is terrible. How long have I been on the internet? Fucking years, do you? What, do you need a diagram on that one? I find it hilarious, to be honest. It just cracks me up. Like, you can normally tell almost instantaneously if somebody's really trying to scam you. Like, I'm talking about, it's not that fucking hard. Like, there's keywords that they use, there's key sentences, there's certain things they say, which, you know, anybody who's got enough sense in their fucking head to realise what they're trying to do is all they're trying to do is emotionally manipulate you into, either they're trying to guilt you, into something. Like, they're either trying to say, oh, they give you some sob story. That's the first part of it. Sob story is a big reaction on it, right? That's a big part of it. Or they try to give you some other type of story. Now, the other side of it, too, is I don't think it's everybody who does this, of course, but... I'd say 15 years. Almost 15 years, I'd say that, yep. So I've learned a few things. I've learned specifically how people try to scam you. I've also learned a lot of other stuff from consistently looking at these things. It's not just that, sometimes I like to hunt these people down too and just sort of, you know, fuck with them a little because I think they deserve it with the amount of shit that they put people through. I've seen them from Indian scammers to the Indian tech support scams to freaking all the other scams across the internet. I've seen every single one of them. And there's not one that I haven't come across that I don't know these days. There's also even romance scams these days where they try to consistently, because somebody's single, they target the person because they're single. Now, have I already met a woman on the net? Wow. Find it interesting this person's asking me whether I found a woman on the net. This is the first target point that I've got around it, though. It's interesting, though. First she says, okay. The first thing she says is she adds me on Facebook, and that's the first. It's not that that was a bad sign, but she adds me on Facebook, and that's sort of interesting. Firstly, I think the first reason that's interesting is she adds me on Facebook. The first few questions she asks, I mean, her English isn't good to start with, so that's the first sign that you're dealing with somebody who doesn't necessarily. She'll use that excuse of not having good English as a way of getting into your mind. Not just that, but also saying she doesn't understand something that you've said. And that's ultimately down to the interpretation, I guess, but it's kind of interesting. And I do like the consistencies. Anyway. In how? That's lovely English for you. Kind of interesting because I'm just looking at what's here so far. First consistencies I'm seeing of being a scammer is just the different factors, you know. You can always pick up a scam a mile away if you've got a sharp enough head for it, you know. I've learned though certain things. I've learned certain things in my life to keep my defenses up when I'm having a couple of drinks, especially on the internet, because people can take advantage of you when you're relatively inebriated on the internet. That's the reason if I do drink these days, I only drink a relative amount. I don't overdo it. I have overdone it in the past, and that's normally got me into trouble. But I've learned to drink enough, or just enough that I feel, you know, nice and hammered and plastered. On top of that, I actually find if I smoke a bit of herb with it in combination, I will actually be less drunk to start with. My point is, you got to consider, yes, some people have called me an alcoholic. I'm not actually an alcoholic. Sometimes I actually pretend to be drunk when I'm not actually drunk. Or I've become so good at pretending to be drunk sometimes that I do it sometimes just to see what people will do when they think that I'm totally inebriated and off of my head. That's what I do that for that reason, because then you find out how much you can trust people. That's a test thing and a consistency thing. It's something that you have to do anyway, you know, just these days especially. And it's something that I've learned my lesson with. When you're doing stuff on the internet, you've got to be careful exactly who you talk to, how drunk you are. I mean, actually, to be honest, I'm finding getting stoned actually works better for me, like in the sense that you do that, and then you have a consistency level of, you mix that with a bit of alcohol, and it seems to balance everything out. Plus, I wake up with less of a fucking hangover, fucking my head feeling like shit too. So that's another consistent thing. But that's something that I've noticed anyway. I have noticed that people will take advantage of you when you're drunk. They will take advantage of you in certain situations, and I wasn't really naive to it. I just didn't want to acknowledge that people were actually that much fucking, that they were asshole. They were that much of an asshole to start with. I don't know, it's like a trust thing. I also am extremely paranoid about everything these days. Even my bank transactions, I even check if my fucking bank has done the wrong thing these days. I'm extremely paranoid about, okay, firstly, what transactions are going on, whether I have different transactions, and recently, actually, one of my cards got flagged. Probably one of the websites I was ordering things off, perhaps, and this, it could have been distinctly possible that might have been the case, and I'm probably going to say that most likely that's what's happened, and that's something that I've learned. Now, does that happen all the time? No, obviously not. I don't know. The other night I was pretty... I don't know. I was pretty drunk. I was pretty stoned, but I ended up going to bed anyway. So, you know, I was just fucking with people. I was trying to get a reaction. I am a bit of an internet troll at the end of it. I mean, no, actually, fuck. I've been trolling for years. I've got other fake accounts that I use that I fuck with people on. And the truth is, I've been doing this fucking shit for years, and I know how fucking people work and how they fuck with people. Now, I think I have every right to complain about scammers and fuck with scammers. Not just that, but inform people of scammers and what they're like, and how inhuman they can be, and how fucked up they can be. And the truth is, if you don't inform people about this stuff, nobody learns, nobody knows, nobody has the knowledge, and nobody gets anything. I mean, the truth is, if I really wanted to clean up, I could become a fucking scammer myself and probably get 30 fucking K a week, you know, out of fucking potential prospective victims, you know what I mean? That's my point. I mean, it's not even fucking possible. Now, that's my point. You know, there's tons of money you could do, and there's tons of things you could do, but there's some scammers I've just seen, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with these dipshits, you know? Like, I'm surprised, and maybe it's because some of them, their English is their second language. I won't argue that. I won't actually argue that that is the case, that perhaps that's related to that. I don't know. I don't know what this person's trying to get me to do. She's claimed to me that she's into a serious relationship, she doesn't want me for my money, and you know what? I've heard all that shit before. And you know what? That's just a consistency thing. At the end of it, whatever you're telling to me, firstly, I can tell English is not your first language. Secondly, how do I know who you are? How do I know who you are? Firstly, just from that perspective point. There's plenty of details and stuff I can find out by actually looking at this person's individual accounts, tracing it back to them, tracing back to their IPs. Not just that, there's tons of ways that you can catch somebody out when they're scamming too, you know. Whether I'm right in the mood at the moment to do that, because I am currently streaming. I'm not just streaming on here, but streaming across several sites at the moment. Whether I feel like really doing that right now is my choice at this point, because I'm not really in the mood. I'm just not in the mood to deal with people who may be scamming me potentially. So I'm just going to close that window. I might actually put myself on... let's not block. No, I won't block. Not for the moment anyway. I want to see what the person does first. See, it'd be interesting to actually see. It'd be interesting to see what response I get out of the person. I don't know, some people, you know, some people I get along with perfectly, and some people I don't have an issue with. But I'll be honest, the amount of scammers and stuff that I've seen, they've taken old ladies, old pensioners, you know, everything else. They've taken people for tons and tons of money. And that's the consistency problem most of the time. Well, not the consistency, but the amount of times that I've seen people... I don't know, she's liking all my statuses now. That's interesting. Kind of curious. See, that's... I don't know, these are outward signs and outward things that you would assume that point to a scammer in some cases. When they start liking all your statuses and they start liking all your stuff. I mean, unless you know them from a specific troll group or something like that, or you've actually physically talked to them or had any type of conversation. The other thing that they do is there is recorded web conversations. If you do have a web conversation with somebody on Skype, there's ways of checking. There is a specific thing, you get them to hold up a piece of paper so it actually shows them as well. You can also check, you can trace back their IP address, that's another part of it as well. It's not just that. You can get somebody claiming to be from one place. In most cases, it's pretty easy to get a beat on someone if you get them on Skype, because you can tell exactly which location they're in. There's resolving programs and there's resolving hacking tools out there that'll tell you exactly where somebody's IP address is. Not just that, but how many IP addresses they have active on a single Skype account. That's another factor as well. And I did have that with some accounts that I've dealt with in the past. I've checked them and they have 2 IP addresses, one in the US, one in some other country. That can be a consistency thing as well. Of course, Microsoft is fixing a lot of those things, but it takes time to fix this shit, you know. There's going to be exploits and there's going to be stuff in there that'll open up a crack wider, you know, fucking a massive fucking crack in it, basically, just a big fucking gaping hole. when it comes to, a lot of that scamming stuff. And the truth is, there's so much of that shit that can happen, and there's so much shit that can be bad for people, consistently. I don't know. I trust people to a certain extent. I don't trust everybody. The first rule I make on the internet is you never trust anybody initially. You get to know them first. You get to connect with them. You try to understand them better. You perhaps follow their profile for a while and you see what they post and what they don't post. It's not just that, but you can get to know them through what they post, whether they feel like posting something controversial, whether they don't. Not just that, but you can even psychologically profile someone on Facebook with pretty good consistency and accuracy. Oh my god, this shirt. This is probably oil from another day, but that's not a problem. I will have to actually get some more oats, nappies, and what are they called? Some of the cleaning stuff, and just so we can clean that off anyway. But that's alright. I'm going to go to the toilet. I will be right back. back to the consistency I was back to before. Right, okay. So yeah, look, from personal experience, I've come across a lot of different perspectives on most things, but if I've learned a few things in my life so far, at this point, is that there's all different types of scam artists out there. There's all different types of people who are, I would say dodgy type people. And they're probably the types of people that, you're not going to come across in everyday life, necessarily. You might, depending on who you talk to, of course. But, there's always somebody trying to play an angle. And I get that, At the end of it, for somebody who's seen this stuff on the internet, not just on the internet, but I've seen some of it in real life too, the different types of people that there can be out there, the inconsistencies and things they say, the fact that they double back on their stories and they change their story all the freaking time. It can be quite screwed up. If somebody can't tell you a consistent story with the same details at the same time and they can't recall those details, then obviously there's something going on. And that's just something I have personally found from a lot of this stuff. That's just something I've found. That's something you can't avoid with some of these scammers. They really do. They know emotional manipulation. They know that if they make somebody feel guilty, not just that, they know if they make a person feel guilty about something that they've done or haven't done, sort of thing. It's interesting though. She said, and her first response was, yes, well, she said, I'm looking for a serious, honest, sincere man. That's not the problem. I can be honest and sincere, but when it comes to my money, I love how scammers use that line. It's like, let's see, I want to be honest and sincere with you, but, I'm not honest myself, so, it's kind of a catch-22 and a kind of fucking stupid. Like, really? So you want an honest and sincere man, but you're acting fake towards them, or you're faking some of your details, and you're making sure that some of your stuff is fake? And it's kind of like, well, geez, that's the pot calling the fucking kettle black. I mean, at the end of it, I'm sorry, but at least I can say the details about me online and things that I reveal about myself, and most of it, like, there's not anything that I lie about. That's my point. Well, the point I'm trying to make is I don't go lying about random stuff. That's precisely my point. I've always been consistent about myself and who I am. I've been online for fucking years, so, at the end of it, there's not anything that I'm dishonest about. Now, the truth is, people don't always ask me about my past, though. They don't ask me about my past. They don't ask me about the consistency of my past. See, most people assume or think that I haven't grown up in a detrimentally bad situation. I grew up as what you would classify as a bogan or a houso, alright? And the truth is, I've learned a lot from being that way, you know what I mean? But I also am a very antisocial person. Sometimes I don't like talking to people because most people are fucking idiots, I've found. That's just from personal experience, and I'm not saying everybody is an idiot, but most people I've come across are. But, you do right by me, I do right by you. You respect me, I respect you. Simple as that. The other thing that I guess is a context is trust. People have to earn my trust. If I don't know you, if I don't know you from a bar of soap or anything of that nature, then I'm sorry, but if I don't know you, there's no way for me to consistently say I can trust you. Up until the point that I get to know you, and I get to know you as a person, and I analyse you. I got to analyse you. You take time to analyse a person. You cannot learn something straight away. You cannot learn initial behaviours. If somebody's very dodgy, you can normally tell that straight away, and you can see that as a consistency things. How reliable they are. Okay, first part of it, alright. How reliable a person is one part of it. Like, how reliable they are in the long run, how reliable somebody can be, whether it's doing their job or whatever they're doing in their life. If they can't even be reliable doing that, then what does that show you in the long run when they can't even do that? Like, that's my point. I found that you can normally tell a person by their professional attitude. My professional attitude, I would say, is most of the time I'm pretty professional about things. When it comes to my work, I try to place a priority on it. I also try to place professionalism in there too. You know, I've got to be consistent. I've got to be good at my job. Not just that, but I've got to treat the customer with a certain amount of tact. I've got to treat people with a certain amount of tact, because, you know, the truth is some people are just too sensitive, and, you know, we live in a society that's getting very sensitive. You can't avoid the fact that sometimes, especially in IT work, you've got to be sensitive to people's needs, you've got to be understanding. I've worked with older people who aren't, let's say, the most accurate when it comes to, say, for example, computers, and they don't know a lot about them. The other thing I've learned too is never to reveal too much. Say, for example, you do know some less than I would classify as legal activity or anything like that. You never reveal too much about that side of yourself, because that in itself can show inconsistencies in society, and people will frown upon it. It's a general rule. But, you know, that's my point. Also, if you're teaching someone something, give them enough. You just... Well, what was the context? I think it was... always... Give a person enough rope to hang themselves if they need to, basically. Or, you know, I mean, it works that way in that context. You give them enough information, just enough, so they can get out there that they need to do it, but they don't. But they may need to refer back to you at a later date because they haven't got all the information. Now, the other side of it too is some people are smart enough to work it out on their own. Some people not. There's just some people that you could talk to them to you're blue in the face
just enough
about information, and to be honest, yeah, that's my point. They couldn't work it out if they tried. There's no consistency in them trying to work it out. But the truth is of Australia's economy, and something I've learned of Australia's economy as a general rule, is we do live in an economy where you have to make a large amount of money. And the problem, and the main reason and the issue for this is because of the American dollar. The American dollar is fucking inconsistently fucked, and it rules everybody else around it. If the American dollar is down or up, that's when the Aussie dollar gets a point. Like, if we're equal to the US dollar, we're fine. If we're not, we're paying double, 3 times, sometimes 4 times the amount that freaking Americans pay. And, like, I mean, yes, I know we are a country that's taxed to death, but that's my point. We're a country that's taxed to death as well. But if the American dollar is up, if there's a consistent problem with manufacturing in China, if some company had to write something off on insurance, it all affects the economy, and it all affects the cost of something. Not just that, but if something, you know, gets sold off cheap, there's a percentage of the time that it might get sold off cheap. The reason it gets sold off cheap is because it was a faulty batch, or there was something wrong and it was manufactured the wrong way or something. So that's the other thing, sometimes you question that. But the other side of it too is, I've seen some goods that were supposedly faulty. It's just the fact that they weren't the top end quality. That's the only difference. They were made from a big brand company, they just weren't as big a quality as what the company wanted, and the quality control was down. So they've sold them off cheap. That happens too. There's factory second warehouses, there's reconditioned computers, there's tons of stuff out there, especially if you know how to shop around for cheap stuff that you can get, which, I mean, to be honest, it's perfectly good equipment, it works, it just may not necessarily have as direct a quality as some of the other equipment out there, you know? And that's the truth. I mean, that's the ultimate truth, you know? Looking at some of my stuff, I'm just checking my Facebook at the moment. But, I mean, this is the point that I'm trying to make to people about this stuff, you know. You can get a bargain, not just a bargain, but you can get cheap stuff too. Not just cheap stuff, but... I mean, I do believe in working for a living. The other side of it too is, and something is, because I have gone into some investment type stuff in the past, and it's only been small amounts on some of these little binary. I only tried them once or twice. It's the first time I tried them, I just wanted to test them. And, you know, it was money that I had spare. That, you know, if I lost it, I lost it. But at the end of it, I learned a lot of these things don't really work. You either have a problem with not being able to get the money back, or there's an inconsistency with the amount that you make. Well, you know, pretty bad inconsistency. That's my point. So a lot of those, I mean, at the end of it, if I had a fair amount of money myself, what I'd probably do is I'd invest some in shareholding stuff, and, you know, well, per se, shareholding type things, stock market in general, and I'd probably get somebody to actually manage it. I wouldn't manage it myself. Yes, there's parts that I've learned some of that stuff myself, but I wouldn't rely just on my own knowledge. I rely on somebody who's been an expert for years, who knows how to do that stuff, you know. And you know, of course, there's a certain, I mean, there's always going to be a fee like anything with anything like that involved. But the truth that I guess I've come to is that know your level of expertise as well. Know what you know. I don't assume that I know everything, because I don't. I know a good amount about. When it comes to computers, I would say that my knowledge is tenfold. I know my shit. I know my shit, and I have I've never not known my shit. And I keep myself constantly up to date and constantly going with computers, and there's never a moment that I'm not reading something about about computer related items. Then I've had some people in the past turn around to me and say, oh, you know, this is just a fad and all this shit. No. If it's the latest technology and that's the way technology's going, you got to follow it. If you don't follow it, you fall behind. You become basically it's like a concept of a computer software. You become out of date. You're not up to date anymore. You will not thrive in an industry like IT at all. You will not thrive. You will not get any money. You will not make anything. On top of that, you've got to be able to say that you know this knowledge. Not just that, but prove to a client or a customer that you got that knowledge, that you know that knowledge. You know, I mean, this is my point. If you don't stay up to date, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, you're just a fucking retard who clearly just wants to stay in the olden times, and so fucking far up there, like your own ass with arrogance about stuff that you do when it comes to IT, that you clearly are an idiot. You know, I don't proclaim to be arrogant. Some things maybe I act a little arrogant sometimes, but you know what? I'm going to admit it. I'm human. We all make mistakes. We all make errors. I've made a few errors over my life. But you know what? Most of the time I'm pretty fucking accurate, and most of the time I'm pretty on fucking key with most of the stuff I talk about. Not just even scam related, but other stuff that I come across. And the truth is, I'm very consistent with what I do. I'm constantly researching. And that's the reason that I keep myself. Well, that's the reason I keep myself up to date. If I didn't keep myself up to date, I'd be an idiot. That's the truth. If you don't have some type of update, some type of update going at all, no, I'm sorry. There's no way you can achieve anything. That's the truth. Well, the conclusion I've come to anyway. Each their own, I guess. We're all different, but you know what? I've learned so much from IT and doing things in IT. Not just that, but I've learned so much for the different levels of technology. Generally keeping yourself up to date is just smart. You're an idiot if you don't, and not just that. You're stupid if you think that you can keep all your knowledge. I mean, yes, you can. You've got the knowledge in your head. I don't argue that, but the thing is, this is something I try to explain to my freaking dad, which my dad doesn't seem to understand either, because my dad hasn't got a very good memory. My issue is that I remember everything that everybody has ever said to me, not just that, but the consistency of it as well. I remember a lot of shit that people say to me. I also remember if somebody lied to me in the past. So if I go back to that person and I find they're still doing the same shit and still lying the same way, then I'm not going to fucking believe a word they say. I'm going to go off and do my own research and get my own facts. But then there's people I've noticed, they have the same consistency in what they say. It's always the same way it's said, and it's always very accurate and on point. And I trust those people implicitly because I've known them for years. Now, I've come across some other people who couldn't tell you they can't remember what they did 5 minutes ago. Alright? That's the honest truth. I just took a shit. I remember what I did 5 minutes ago, Probably about 10 minutes now, but Jesus, this is my point. There's some people who can't even remember what they had to make it. They can't even remember the ingredients to be able to make a cup of coffee. Now, at the end of it, everybody's different, right? Everybody is inherently different. I know there's the conditions that affect that, like Alzheimer's and things like that. But it's not just Alzheimer's that affect that stuff. I'll tell you what else affects it. Medications. All types of medications. This is the reason I take the herbal remedies and stuff I take, because if I didn't take these, I would have a lot of memory issues. But the consistency of taking those medications, even stuff on the PBS these days, all these medications affect how your brain works. Not just that, but it affects your memory, it affects your state of mind, your concentration, your focus level. It affects everything inside you. And this is my point. It fucks your immune system in the meantime, and probably does a bunch of other stuff that you don't want it to do. And this is the reason I'm a big believer in the fact that pharmaceutical companies are purposely fucking with people and making them have bad memories. Not just that, but making things happen to them. Alright? And I've learned to find so many natural elements and things of that nature that consistently work for me, I do believe in hard work, don't get me wrong. I do believe in that. I have believed in that. I've done hard work in the past. Years ago, I used to, work at the corner store with my uncle. I used to do odd jobs in here and there. I've done work experience at different places, Hardex, Hardware, Coles, Woolworths. I've even, for a time in New South Wales, I worked in a freezer, and I consistently did stuff with, freaking frozen foods, and, it was pretty much how it worked. But, I've never been a rich person either, that's my point. I'm not rich. I know how, when I have money and when I do get money, I know how to spend it properly. Not just spend it properly, but spend it in a way that it's efficient. Not just that, but I also spend it on things that actually last me a fair long time, because most of this fucking shit behind me is like a few years old now. This computer's a few years old. This computer's probably like, 3 or 4, 5 years old now, you know what I mean? And, it's still fucking going. It's still strong as hell. Not just that, I can do editing, I do all the other stuff on it, and it's still pretty damn strong, you know? Some of this other stuff that I have around me, it's the same context. It's about the same amount of age. Some of it's new, some of it isn't. Put it this way, you don't have to constantly upgrade. I'm a bit of an upgradeaholic, though. I do admit occasionally I will buy something new for myself, and I like having my gadgets. I didn't buy this, my niece did, but my point is, I like my gadgets, I like my stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good for you. It's actually good for you to have that type of stuff. But there's other times where it's just, as long as you've got enough things to do what you need to do, as long as you've got enough, as long as you've got the tools to do the jobs that you want to do, that's the main thing. And as long as the tools work, as long as they're good quality tools, and you can consistently use them, and you don't have any issues with them breaking or anything like that, that's the main thing. We all have negative situations that are happening in our life, and the truth is we're all different. And we're all different about how we handle it, and I think I kind of find it interesting that she's actually done that, so... Which is I have trust issues. I do, and that's the truth. I have trust issues with anybody today. Well, mostly, what percentage of the trust issues I have is with some people, and not all, but certain people in life, they seem to think that just because somebody doesn't look that crash hot in the first place, that person's not going to find anybody, or find anybody who will be attracted to them. The truth is, I've had a lot of different women that I've talked to over the years. Some have friend-zoned me, some have just talked to me, some I still talk to this day. I don't know. I've been accused by different people of different things. I've been accused of being an alcoholic, for one. I don't consider myself an alcoholic because I tell you what an alcoholic fucking does, and that's the truth of the situation, is that they drink consistently every single day and they never stop. See, I post stuff up on Facebook about me drinking or whatever and things like that. It's just because I'm having some fun. And you know what? There's always going to be some fucking cunt who wants to ruin your fun time or stop you from having fun with yourself or with other friends or family or whatever. And the truth is, there's so many people who just have an inconsistency thing when it comes to fun. Like, you know, they can't let loose. They're socially uptight themselves and they have issues. And if they see somebody having fun and actually enjoying themselves, they get on their back. They fuck around with them, and they call them an alcoholic, or they call them a drug addict, or they call them some other fucking weird-ass name, which, is, totally inappropriate, I believe, because it depends on the person. Some people can be consistent with that stuff. Some people are fine. And the point that I'm trying to make to most people, and the confusion that I've had with some people in the long run, is that people get called these names and they get painted this way, but the truth of the situation, and something I've just learned as a point, is that we paint people this way because we see something in them that we really want. So it's either self-confidence or it's something else that we want from them, that we like in their personality, and we want to see in ourselves. If at the end of it, that's ultimately what it is. It's that psychological mechanism, and it's purely down to jealousy, because the truth is it's pretty easy for people to get jealous. I've learned jealousy doesn't serve a purpose in most cases. It doesn't serve any reasoning. It doesn't have any reasonable point of view either. I don't know, that's my point. Jealousy is just stupid. It's ridiculous. It has no relevance in a society like ours. Why would we want to get jealous when, at the end of it, there's no point in getting jealous? I don't know, just as a personal standard point, I've come to the conclusion that the world is so adamantly bad against jealousy, and I don't know, there's another side of it too. Homophobia is a big issue too. People have a lot of issues with that, somebody's homosexual, or they're called a faggot or whatever, some other name, and the truth is, fuck, oh my god, the amount of people who go after somebody because of homophobia or racism, for example, that's another thing, that's another prejudice in society that I believe should be totally fucking thrown out the fucking door. And the problem is we live in a society that perpetuates this behaviour, or some of it, anyway. Actually, no, I'm just going to say we live in a society that perpetuates this behaviour. And you know what? Sometimes you have to learn to go against the grain, step out of your normal comfort zone and just see the world for what it is sometimes, and see how shitty some people can be in certain situations. And you know what? I will admit I've had my moments in the past where I get annoyed with people, where I consistently might have problems with somebody. I might have for a while, because of the fact I was scammed by a woman, by women, and I know there were women, like people can say, oh, but you don't know they're only... I know there were women, firstly, because it was a real interaction, not just that. I know for a fact because I traced all their IP addresses back anyway, because that's the first thing I freaking do when I'm online, dumbasses. I'm not going to go and get into a relationship with some random fucking dumbass that I don't know anything about. I also ran a criminal record check on those fucking people. And I love how people seem to think that, I'm naive or I'm stupid and I just wouldn't do that shit. I'm not an idiot, for fuck's sake. Seriously, that shit pisses me off the most, is that people assume I don't do this shit, I don't check this shit. What, you think I'm stupid? You think I'm dumb? No, I'm sorry, I'm not. That's not the issue. I'm smart enough to check the person's record, but here's the thing. Emotionally speaking, I'm a fairly screwed up person because of my psychological conditions. So I let those people guilt me into some things. They've guilted me into, doing things that I don't want to do. And you know what I learned? Guilt is never a good thing to feel. Guilt is never a direct result, And that's the thing. You live in a society at the end. You live in a society... Hold on a second, it's probably easier to take this off the fucking thing. We live in a society where guilt is not paramount, we seem to think that nobody can feel guilty, but if you feel guilty about something, it is possible. It's possible not just to feel guilty, but be psychologically slightly manipulated by someone when it comes to emotions. And that's the entire truth of it. Most people don't realise how easy it can be, especially if you're a highly emotional person like myself, And the thing is, I'm inconsistent about that sometimes. I know for a fact that with my emotions, they were guided by how much medication I was taking, or how much how much of my medication was in my system. I'll be honest, my medication makes me feel emotionally numb. I don't like feeling emotionally numb. I've never liked feeling emotionally numb. And I've learned that other certain herbal medications that I take actually have more of a positive effect on my emotional state than any of the other shit that I take from a doctor. Because most of the shit from the doctor is pretty fucking shit house, to be honest. You know, this is the truth. I've learned a few good lessons over the years about that stuff, and definitely sort of interesting. But I see the other side of it too is I'm not that stupid. That's the thing. I've got a good head on my shoulders. My issue is that I do feel sympathy for some people. Sometimes I feel sympathy for the wrong people. Which, you know, the world. I've also learned that some people who are the opposite, they don't feel any sympathy at all towards anybody in their life. It doesn't matter who they were, which direction that person came from. I don't feel any sympathy whatsoever. I'm also a big believer. I'm also a big believer in cannabis being used for medical purposes and medical reasoning behind it, because the truth is, it is distinctly possible to use it for that purpose and only that purpose. It is not just there to get people high. To be honest, there's all different types of ways you can get high. You can get high by taking certain herbal remedies. You can get high by smoking certain herbal things. For example, ginseng or whatever, in these combination of things, or you can mix it into a tea. You can do it whichever way you choose to. And the truth is, these things will give you a natural buzz and a natural high. They will also be more consistently healthy than anything, you know, chemically based, like heroin, meth, anything of that, you know, nature. I have never taken any hard drugs in my life. I've never taken any what you would classify as the really nasty stuff out there. I don't pump shit up my veins. I don't fucking smoke meth or ice. I don't do that shit. Alright? I've never done any of that shit in my life. The closest I've ever come to anything like that in my entire life was when I took dexamphetamine for my ADHD when I was younger. And that is the fucking closest I've ever come to anything like that in my life at all. Alright? I've never taken any illegal drugs. I have never taken ecstasy, anything like that. None. I've never done that. You know what? That's just me. I don't do that shit. I don't do that highly illegal, firstly. Now, at the end of it, you know, I've seen some people handle things differently, but, you know, the truth is, I've just never been the type of person to take that stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather, you know, smoke a bit of herb, to be honest. That's about the only thing that I really do, and I've only recently started doing that because some people recommended it to me and said it would probably work for me. And you know what? I totally agree with them. It has actually worked for me quite well. I've learned a few lessons in different situations. I've learned consistencies and inconsistencies about some things. I've learned that, you know, in the long run, we live in a society, ultimately, that, you know, that there are certain things that are frowned upon. Now, weed or herb is not so much frowned upon, not as much anymore, because most people actually do. It's becoming a lot more legalized, especially in the US, and it's becoming a lot more common, and, you know, it's more common than, say, ice or any other type of, you know, big-ass drug like that. And the truth is, I don't see a problem with it. I've never had a problem with it. I've never had an issue with it. I think there's a lot of people that it actually does, a fair amount of good for, in the sense of calming them down, making them feel better. Not just that, but generally, it in some ways it betters their life and just makes their life easier to deal with. I'll be honest, it's an effective natural antidepressant. I'll be honest. For me it is, anyway. Speaking from experience. And it works for me, I don't have an issue with it. I don't hate it. I don't hate people who smoke. I even smoke a bit of tobacco from time to time. This is my point. I do my vaping. I love my vape, by the way. I don't do this all the time, but it does less damage. Like, I figure if I equalise it by just smoking a little bit from time to time, which I've got a pouch of tobacco in my drawer there, and, I mix it with a little bit of other stuff, and so I should be okay. And I know freaking cigarettes are bad for me, but you know what? Fuck it. I'll just smoke them anyway. Or cigarettes or tobacco. Depends on the tobacco. Some natural-based tobaccos aren't as bad for you. But my point is, in the long run, that I don't detrimentally put people down because they smoke. I've never felt the need to put somebody down because they smoke. You go right ahead, you smoke. Go right ahead, I don't have a problem with that. Though if you're smoking meth or any other type of drug, if you're sitting there pumping shit up your veins, or if you're fucking smoking meth out of a fucking glass pipe, get the fuck out of my house. Simple as that. You do any of that shit in my house, you can go fuck yourself. Because I'm sorry, that's fucked. I do not condone that shit. I never have. Okay. At the end of it, I've seen some people who, I've honestly seen some people, and I'll be honest. I've seen some people who, they can do that type of shit, and it doesn't affect them that badly. But I've seen some people completely go off their nut and get so fucking addicted to that shit, so fucking hooked on it, that they can't fucking move, Not just that, but they have to constantly have money for it, and they can never take a break from it. I will be honest. I smoke herb. Do I smoke it all the time? No. I can take up to a week, month, well, this is my point. I've taken like a week's break because I couldn't necessarily get any at the time, And I've taken a week's break and I was fine, That's my point. This is my point, like, I consistently can say that I can take a break from it. Now, the other side of it, too, is I can't take a break from my fucking caffeine. Most of the days I have a cup of coffee. I get up every morning, I have a cup of coffee. I would say I'm more addicted to fucking coffee than anything else. Any of my other medications that I take, my herbal remedies, even if I don't take them for a day or so, I'm fine. I can sit there. The only thing is I might be a bit more irritable, but that's about it. And the truth is, I've just learned so much. I've learned so much that, government, I've not just learned so much, but I know for a fact that our government lies to us. Our government has never fucking not lied to us. And, I've kind of got the shits with, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, there's these rules in society, right? I get some rules, I see the logic of them, but other rules I'm like, well, what the fuck were you thinking when you made that shitty-ass law up? It's the most dumb-ass law I've ever heard in my life. Why the hell would you make up something like that, firstly? Because all that is fucking doing for you is getting more tax revenue. That's all the entire reason. The only entire reason that you've got that fucking fee in the first place. The only fucking reason you got that fee, not just that fee, but the only reason you've implemented that fee is because you know you can catch people doing it. Because people won't give it... People don't tend to give a shit about it. But, yeah, that's something I've learned consistently between that stuff. I don't know, like, people are roasting me, I don't know. Should probably change that title, actually. But, well, I've roasted myself on the internet plenty of times, I'm probably my own worst critic sometimes, but you know what? I don't think I'm that fucking bad. There are way worse people out there than me. There are way worse people out than me. Like, I'm actually pretty damn good. I'll have to admit it. I'm a pretty damn awesome person when I want to be. And I consider myself pretty cool. Firstly, I can sing. That's one thing. It's a lot of people can't even hold a fucking note. Alright? I'm just going to change that. But yeah, this is my point. I can sing, I can do all that stuff. Not just that, but I can, I can be... I can do my shit. And this is my point. I can hold my own when I want to. This is my point. And I've seen so much of this world where people can't even fucking construct a proper sentence. Yeah, my grammar's a little bit shitty, no argument, but I've actually been working on that lately with my grammar online. I actually have a program now that corrects my grammar for me, because it was a consistent issue, because most of the time my grammar is shithouse. That doesn't mean, just because my grammar's shithouse, doesn't mean I'm actually not good at typing, and it doesn't mean that I'm not actually good at constructing sentences and putting things together. The other side of it too is there's a couple of times where I haven't been drunk, but I've been slightly hungover, and maybe perhaps I've typed something, I've missed a couple of words. But I normally go back and edit the post later anyway. So when anybody ever goes back to look at the post anyway, and they try to criticize me for grammar or anything like that, it's or whatever, or spelling or missing a word, I've already put it back in. So that's the ironic thing. I'm actually smart enough to go back and check my shit later on after I've reposted it. See, the other side of it too is sometimes I post with pure emotion when it comes to stuff, you know. If I'm cranky and pissed off and having a rant about something, I will post it and just post it the raw way it would come out of me. It would just pause out of the fucking keyboard and me constantly fucking typing, you know. Because, I don't know, you could say it's not really angry, it's just obsessing about getting it out of my body, because it's almost like it's almost like getting those feelings out, you know, whether it's anger, whether it's moody, whether it's feeling good or bad, you know, whatever. My point is, that shit gets thrown out there so people can see how I feel. Now, as I said, eventually I'll go back, I'll edit it, I'll check it. In most cases, there's probably a couple of posts I don't check, I admit that. But at least I'm pure about most stuff that I do. I mean, you know, I try to be anyway. I try to be the purest person I can be. And I try to be consistent with what I do with my life too, you know. It's always the same things that I talk about, it's always the same subjects that I try to stick to. The other side of it too is I'm always open to new subjects as well, you know. It's not as if I'm not open to them, it's just that, you know, I've been told by people, oh, you know, you look weak, you look like a pussy or something like that. I'm like, fuck off, cunt. Right, firstly, because I'm not weak and I'm not a fucking pussy by any means. You get in my fucking way, I will fucking stab you. I'll either stab you or I'll fucking punch you out. Either one of the two. And my point is, I'm not weak. This is my point. And that's what gets me the most, is that people say, oh, you look weak, you look all this. I mean, okay. I act timid sometimes, and I act timid around my own fucking family, but that's my family. My family doesn't see every side of me. My family has never known every side of me. The truth is, I've lost a few good friends, gained a few good friends, and most of the time I've lost good friends and friends in inconsistency because I've been more real with them than I am with my own family. There's a lot of shit that my family doesn't know about me and how I feel about things, and there's certain things I don't tell my family either. There's certain things that they know, and there's certain things they don't know. And the honest truth is, I've always been that way. If I don't know you well enough, and I can't trust you with not having to get the shits if I have an opinion or something like that, then if I can't trust you enough, I don't give you the full perspective on me as a person, or the full truth. I don't give you. I hold things back. I hold shit back if I know that people can't accept it, because they either haven't got the fucking backbone to accept it, or they haven't got the fucking balls to accept it. Either one of the two. And the truth is, this is a conclusion I've come with some people. They can either accept me for who I am, or they can't. And I get so pissed off trying to explain this to people over time that it just drives me fucking crazy, you know? Like, what the hell? There are certain things that I don't reveal in public either. There's certain things you've got to be in front of me to talk to me about. That you've got to know that if you want to talk to me about it, you have to be in front of me to do it. You know what I mean? There are certain things that I don't say, and some things that I do. There's also a lot of things that I'm not inconsistent, but I don't tell the full. I hold things back, but I hold back just enough information that to see how trustworthy the person is. That's what I do. Yeah. And at the end of it, I wouldn't have myself any other way. That's the reason we do, you know, the other side of it too is we live in a society where there's so much judgment placed on everybody. And you know what, people can turn around and say they don't judge, but oh, fuck right off with that shit. If you tell me you don't judge people and people don't judge each other, I will show you 150 million fucking posts online that prove otherwise, you know? Not just that, but I will show you, not just that, but I will show you 100 different fucking conversations and stuff that I've had with people over the years that show that people are judgmental. Even my own fucking family has the same consistent issue of being judgmental. So, I'll be honest. If you think people aren't judgmental, yeah, you are fucking kidding yourself. You're playing ignorant in your own mind, and you're an idiot for not realising that. You know.
And family have the same consistent.
So at the end of it, no, that's entirely my point, and that's entirely what I'm trying to make out. I mean, you know, as I said, not everybody is that way, and I don't think everybody judges, but I think there's a vast majority of people in society who do. And you know, I've learned so much about different people, how they. It's also the factor of how people treat each other. You know, somebody can say one thing in front of you, and others can't, and others don't say anything. I mean, I've learned with some people, it's just better off to leave it alone, because they're just going to be those type of people who are shit stirrers and they stir the fucking pot. That's who they are. They can't help it. Then there's other people that, you know, you can sit there and they just don't care. You know, they just do their own thing. But each individual is different, and it doesn't matter who it is. But each individual is just they're all different. Okay, so let's see. So let's see. I'm going to archive that. So just archiving some emails at the moment. Just have a look. I think, as I said, everybody has a different way of looking at things, but I think I've concluded, you know, whether it's politics, religion, whatever way you want to look at it, everybody has their own view. I will not say that every person that I've met is religious is judgmental. I will not say that every politician that I met is full of shit. But I will say there is some consistency of the level of people who are full of shit and the level of people who are judgmental. So there is some level, you know. Not just that, but you do see patterns of behaviour in people. That's another thing as well. Human beings, after all, we are quite a screwed species, and this is part of the issue, I believe. We all believe that, well, I don't know, there's some people who just believe and seem to think that they're in control of everything. It seems like they're just fucking nuts anyway. I've met some people who honestly, and this is a few people I've met online and offline, I reckon that they could honestly be... They honestly need to be medicated, but they've never been medicated their entire life at all. They have no type of medication in their system. Either that or if they do have any type of medication, it's most likely meth or something like that, which is going to... I'm sorry, but meth is just an angry drug. It's always going to be an angry drug, it's always going to be a drug that fucks you up psychologically, and it's always going to do more damage than it fucking fixes, you know, initially. That's my point. That's something I've learned. But I will tell you this, I don't consider herb a drug. It is not a drug. It never has been. It's not addictive. Never has been addictive. And whoever says it's addictive has never fucking smoked it. So, you know, that's my point. And that's the truth. I mean, that's just the ultimate truth. I'm telling you. It's the ultimate truth. The problem is we do live in a society that I guess they judge different situations, you know, but can I judge, you know, people on heroin or meth or whatever? I think I have every sort of right to a certain extent, because I've seen the amount of damage it can do, but I've also seen the people that can fuck up as well. I've also seen people who do that stuff and it doesn't really affect them that badly. It doesn't do anything to their head, doesn't fuck with them badly, doesn't screw them up too much, you know. Now the other side of it too is you can have some people who can be raging alcoholics, like literally raging alcoholics. Like, these people have alcoholic problems where if they drink any type of alcohol at all, like a small amount even, they turn into an arsehole and a dickhead. I will only ever get to a point where I get pissed off and annoyed and cranky with someone if they're trying to bait me. If you try to bait me while I'm drunk, expect to get a reaction. That's my point. And I've had plenty of people do it online. They've baited me while I've been drunk. And that's normally, in most cases, when you get a reaction out of me, because I get pissed off, because I know you're fucking baiting me, I know exactly what you're trying to do. It's probably not the best thing to bite, but it's just a little easier for me to bite, because I lose a lot of my inhibitions when I have a couple of drinks, you know? But I've also learned now what to drink and how much to drink. Sometimes it is better, more is less in the context, when you're drinking online. When you do it, you got to drink to a certain level, and then people, well, they can still piss you off, but you may not have as much as a severe reaction as if you were extremely drunk off your nut. But I've seen people. I don't know what. I guess what I consider an alcoholic is somebody who just can't stop drinking. Like that, they have to. They drink on a 24-hour basis. They drink pretty much consistently and never stop. They can drink at any time in the morning or any time of the day. Well, it's sort of a combination of, but I mean, I don't know. It's sort of funny with that because it depends on what it is, you know. But anybody who's drinking on a continuous basis and can't stop drinking at all, takes no breaks whatsoever, doesn't sober up at all, doesn't focus their head at all, then clearly they've got an issue with alcohol. You know what I mean? What I don't consider and never have considered an alcoholic in the long run is somebody who can have a drink on a weekend and binge drink on the weekend, because I don't consider that to be alcoholic. That's just partying, you know, it's having fun, have some fucking fun, loosen the fuck up sort of thing. But if you're consistently drinking, never stop, never feel the need to stop, then there's clearly some issues going on. If you never feel the need at all, yeah. So. I do admit sometimes alcohol does make life a little more fun in some perspectives, especially if you just want to be an arsehole. But you know, I hate to say it. Sometimes I've been a really nice guy to people and I've been really consistently nice. And I come on a bit strong. I probably flirt the fuck out of everybody when I get drunk. I ain't going to argue that. And I've learned to step back from that. I've learned to step back and stop flirting with, but stop coming on as strong as I do when I get drunk. But you know what? What pisses me off the most, and this is something that I constantly find, is that when you do start doing that stuff, people, you know, they either don't accept a compliment or they can't accept the fact that they're beautiful, and the reason you're hitting on them is because they're sexy or beautiful or whatever. And oh my god, like what the fuck? Seriously, you know, this is my point. Like, I don't know. I've heard plenty of shit throughout my life. I've heard different things, you know. I have been called ugly sometimes, but then I've, you know, the other side of it too is I've also been called handsome. I've been told that I'm quite handsome. I've been told that I have quite a good singing voice. I've been told a lot of the things, you know, that I've been told over the years. And I've been told good and bad. That's my point. And it all depends on who you talk to. It all depends on who knows me. I'm one of these people, I probably, over time, I win people over with my personality and my charm. I don't always win people over with my looks, because I'm not perfect looking. But the other side of it too is, you know, it's like, oh, lose some weight, you fat slut. I mean, but that seems to be the consistent thing with people, with weight and things like that. Like, it seems to be an issue, but you know what? I don't really give a shit about my weight. My weight is what my weight is. And the truth is, I'm not actually that fat. I know that because of the fact that I know people way fatter than myself. Not just that, but I know plenty of people who have bigger weight issues than I do. Like, they literally have like obesity issues. And the truth is, you know, considering my age, and I haven't managed to kill myself through some type of health problem, is pretty good for my age, considering, you know. The slightest complaint my doctor had was slightly high cholesterol. But there could be a number of reasons for that. I do smoke. That's a contributing factor. I do drink. I take a lot of herbal remedies to counteract a lot of that stuff, so if just having a little bit high cholesterol is okay for me, you know, that's pretty good, considering in my age bracket. I know people who are my age and their bodies are completely fucked because they've done every fucking drug under the sun, they've done every fucking thing under the sun, and they've fucked themselves so fucking hard with their body, and fucked their system up so much, that they've basically got no more fucking health left, pretty much. That's pretty much what happens to them. Now, is that everybody that happens to? No, not everybody. That's my point. Not everybody does that way. Not everybody's that stupid. You've got to consider, though, that a few times I've probably tried to kill myself in life. And that's probably contributed. I know a couple of times I tried to overdose myself. Didn't work out that way. I ended up being the opposite. Obviously, I didn't give myself enough, but, you know, I've tried to overdose myself with pills. I've tried that in the past. Never worked. But, though, then I did try to detox my body afterwards. You know, so, yeah. I don't know. You know, I've tried different stuff like that. I've tried to slip my own wrists. I've tried all these different things. And the truth is, I know how to do most of this stuff properly if I really wanted to. But then I worked out myself that I'm worth more alive. Not just I'm worth more alive, and I'm generally worth more to myself and my family. Because if I leave my family alone, they're pretty much fucked when it comes to most things, when they're technology or otherwise. My family rely on me. You know what I mean? We'll put it this way. I'm just one of these people. My family relies on me. My family loves me. My family has a consistency with me. Now, the other side of it too is people seem to think I get... No, I don't constantly get into... I rarely fight with my family. I fight more with people on the internet than I do with my own fucking family. My family, I've never fought with my fucking family in my entire life. I mean, we might have an argument maybe once in a fucking blue moon, but every single person that I've ever talked to who had an argument with has always been on the fucking internet. Every single fucking time. Or in real life. I've had a couple of arguments in real life too. But that's with other fucking friends that were just not consistent and fucking, you know, we didn't have the difference of opinion for the thing. Here's my point. I don't argue with my family. I don't get into arguments. I don't fucking beat my family. I don't yell at my family. I rarely get the shits with my family. I may yell on camera or do the shit that I do when I'm drunk or something like that. But do you think my family gets in the middle of that shit? No. They don't care. They just hear me yelling and they just, oh, they think I'm on the internet again. That's my fucking point. My family doesn't, well, they don't really care about that stuff. It doesn't bother them too much, and inherently it doesn't bother me because it's just stuff that I'm doing. Most of it's just a fucking act anyway, you dumbasses, but really. I just love how fucking...
me yelling and they just...
Like, anyway, it's beside the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that most of the stuff that I do online, I will be honest, most of the stuff I do online is just me clearing my head, you know, like, that's pretty normal for me, you know? And the thing is, with my family, I'm the nicest guy in the world. That's the truth. I'm always very nice. I'm extremely nice. The reason I'm a bit of an asshole on the internet, because firstly, nobody on the internet's earned my respect, because of the amount of shit that I've seen people do, dodgy shit people do to each other on the internet. Nobody's earned my respect in the sense that I'm not going to respect some random ass idiot on the internet. I'm just going to go off at you and go fucking nuts. At the end of it, I don't know whether they probably get a kick out of it. I know I do. I get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of going after people. It's fucking hilarious. And that's my point, you know, like, we all seem to have these issues of, you know, oh, this shouldn't happen, that shouldn't happen, you know, societies, or, I mean, I don't know, just so sick of people and their stupid shit, you know what I mean? Consistency anyway, but, like I said, everybody is different. We all inherently have our own issues, and I try not to judge too harshly, but I've learned with some people... it's just consistency as well. Some people are pretty easy to get along with, to be honest. But I have concluded, though, that some people will try to stir your shit and will try to fuck with you. That's the truth. But then, I'm the same. I like to get a reaction out of some people. But, you know, I will be honest. I don't go around yelling at my family. I don't go around yelling at my dad. You know, I might have a shitty day or something like that. I just go off and do whatever I need to do, or I sleep. That's another thing I do too, occasionally. If I'm not in the mood to deal with people and I want to be antisocial, I go and fucking sleep. Or I go for a walk, either one of the two. And that's the thing. Most people seem to think, or have this strange idea, because when I get, you know, a bit drunk and stoned, actually, to be honest, the other night I was just wanted to see if I could get a reaction out of people, because some people said, it saddened me that I couldn't get a reaction out of people. I couldn't get people to say anything. It was kind of sad. I mean, just like nobody had any balls at all. Like, I mean, you know, if you're gonna give me some shit, give me some shit, clearly, but fuck me sideways. Some people are just idiots. I don't know. See, that's another thing. Maybe too, it's another thing that I think that most of the people I have to deal with in my life, especially not everybody on the internet is an idiot. There's a good percentage of people who are fucking idiots. Not just that, but even in real life, there's a good percentage of idiots. So I didn't do anything for you, dog. So what I'm going to do is change this shirt, because these grease stains, obviously. These were freaking stains were on there before, but I don't know where the fuck I know where some of them came from, but not all. Big shirt. What is this? I'll tell you, my friend. You are... That'll work, yeah. Alright, hold on. Change the shirt. The thing I had to do yesterday, this was after having a few drinks the other night, is I had to go over to a client's place and fix their computer. Basically, I had to redo their modem, reinstall everything, and they seemed pretty happy once I did that. I was on the phone support to Telstra at the time. Kind of frustrating when I did it, but I mean, I went there, and then I think after I got home, after I'd done the job, I was fairly sleepy, so I thought I went to sleep for a bit. Also picked up a charcoal chicken too and a couple other things while I was down the shops. But this is my freaking point, you know. I don't know. No judgment. I try not to pass judgment. Don't help it. Judgmental people. I don't know. Well, the world is judgmental. Parts of it are anyway. So, well, I've also actually been looking on schizophrenic forums as well, and I found I'm not actually the worst person. Like, my schizophrenia is freaking mild compared to, pretty much compared to anybody that I've come across online or otherwise. I've learned that I have definitely not the worst schizophrenic out there. I don't have the severity or the worst symptoms, and that's the truth. There are people with way more issues than me, and you know what? I feel blessed for that. In context, blessed by who? I'm not sure. Perhaps I'm blessed by Satan. It's distinctly possible. Though it is what was it, Friday anyway? We're dropping around to Friday. What's Friday? So let's see. Today is Wednesday, so I'm expecting a couple of things in the mail at this point. So I don't know. A couple of little smoking paraphernalia stuff, and I'm expecting some pipes and stuff. Mostly at this point. And what else we got? Annoying part is the filter did come out of this other pipe, but I mean, I only paid $1.85 for it, so I'm not going to fucking gripe about the filter coming out of it. If I really want to invest in a better pipe, I will. You know, it's not that hard. It's called eBay, people. If you're going to be cheap, or not cheap, if you're going to buy shit, buy it at a good price. Well, most of the time, buy it at a good price. I don't know. That's funny though. I have bought something for $100, and I bought something for $100, and yeah, it worked great for a week. And then I bought something for $200, and it's done the same thing. But it's the problem is that it depends on the consistency and the quality of stuff these days, especially, you know. So, well, that's what I found personally. I am planning to get a new work laptop though. At this point, it's going to be. Let's see if that's posted. Let's see. It's delivered. I just want to see if this has been delivered. No, it's still in transit. Okay, that's fine. It's still in transit, so that's fine. That was posted yesterday. I actually had somebody buy something off me on eBay, so there's a couple of things here which I'm still waiting on. There's two things I'm waiting on, actually. There's There's three things I'm waiting on in total. I bought a couple more of those pipes because I don't actually mind them. They're not bad quality. For $1.85, I am not going to argue. In between that, I bought myself, as you know, a new SSD, which is working fantastically at this point. That's great. But yeah. See, I don't know. It's like it does seem that people do seem to think that I get into an argument with my family. I don't. That's my point. I've never been the type to argue with my family because I love my family too much. That's the issue, you know. And I've just been that type of person. I can't. I don't have a reason to argue with my family because I love my family. I have a reason to get the shits with them occasionally because they've done something that I didn't want them to do, or there's some other inconsistency issue, or they drive me nuts with some things that they do. But I probably do the same to them from time to time. But, you know, do I sit there, yell at them, and get into an argument with them? No. Have I in the past? Maybe once or twice, but I rarely yell at my own family. I rarely get into an argument with my own family. And it's very rare for me to actually start an argument with somebody unless somebody really provokes me. It has to be I mean, like, you literally have to have somebody come up and try to push me. You know, like, and not even my my family's never been that inclined. They don't come up and push me around, you know, or try to hit me or something. Now, in the same context, I've always taken it the same way. Unless you come up and try and hit me in the fucking head, I will not do the same to you. This is my point. I can be civilized and have a civilized conversation. But if you try to hit me, all bets are off. I'm putting you down. I'm knocking you out. And you will not be getting back up. But that's if you hit me. You have to lay the first punch. That's the way it works with me. It's the way a confrontation works with me. I've had that in the past, I think, with, I was back in high school, got hit in the nose, I hit him back, got him fucking whack smack in the nose himself, and, he got me. So we got each other pretty equally. Surprising part is my nose didn't bleed that day. It bled a couple of days later, and I'm like, what the fuck? Because it hit me, and I'm like, well, the nose was hurting all fucking day. I was like, I was in a relative amount of pain for the day, but when he hit me in the nose, I'm like, okay, alright, no, it's fine. So at the end of it, you know, I was just surprised it didn't bleed. I have had nosebleeds as an issue in the past, but not anymore. I don't get them anymore. But yeah, no, that's it's neither here nor there. I don't know. Somebody's trying to rope me into a relationship, apparently. I don't know, there's always somebody trying to rope me into a relationship. I don't have a problem with a relationship. What I have a problem with is trusting people, especially women. And I'm not saying it's all women that I don't trust, but I've come to learn from my past that when it comes to women, sometimes my judgment is a little skewed because I guess you could say I have a bit of a weak spot for women. Not totally, but just a little bit. And I've learned to step away from that weak spot and try to see them if they're being sociopathic or manipulative or if they're being assholes, you know, things like that. And I've learned to step away from that and see when they're trying to do that to me or when they're trying to fuck with me. But I still have a bit of a weak spot for women, mainly because of just how, well, you know, it's always been a context of, you know, women are the more weaker sex in context. Well, that's how society treats it. I've always been with the theory and the point that you protect a woman. You know what I mean? It's not just things as a consistency in society. I have always been with that theory that you protect a woman, and that's how it works. The other side of it too is I've also learned that some women don't need protecting because they're, you know, they're bitches to start with and they have their own issues, and not just that, but they're clearly the type of people who don't need protecting because firstly they can defend themselves and they can beat the crap out of somebody if they need to. The other side of it too is there's some women who they purposely start shit just for no reason. You know, that's the other side of it as well. And you know what? I'm going to say that it's not all women that do that, but there's some men who do the same thing. They start shit for no reason. But I think with anybody inherently with a mental illness, we all start something at some point. We all want to start something. We all want to voice our opinion from time to time. We can be confrontational. It's just, it doesn't matter whether it's PTSD, schizophrenia. We all have confrontational points of view, or we want to confront people with things sometimes because we just think, fuck it, no, I'm just going to go for it, because that's the attitude sometimes that comes into play. And the truth is that anybody with a mental illness, and it doesn't matter whether it's schizophrenia, it doesn't matter whether it's PTSD, depression, or anxiety, we all have that in us. We all have that ability. All humans have the ability to cause great levels of confrontation. I mean, if World War II is any good example, or World War I is another fucking good example, we all have that great ability to cause those conflicts. So, you know, fuck. Fuck, yeah. That's my point. That's the society. There's things that don't help confrontation. If you're drunk, you're more likely to get into a confrontation. That's actually true, and it's statistically proven. If you're stoned, you're less likely to get into a confrontation in most cases. You'll just fucking, you know, annoy people and be an idiot. And, you might sleep and get the munchies and stuff like that. The other side, too, is you might focus. It just depends on how it affects you. But, the other side of it, too, is you're on meth or something like that, you might end up killing someone. Like, I'll be honest, that's statistically, if you look at the data out there, if you're on meth or something of that nature, you're more likely to kill someone, especially these, meth or heroin and all the other fucking harder drugs. That fucking shit will make you do some nasty ass crap, and it will make you do it pretty badly too. So yeah. But yeah. Though I don't try to judge people. I know people who've had a past with drugs, and some people it's not their fault too. Sometimes they're forced into that situation. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that he used to know this girl, or this woman. She ended up having to do prostitution simply because her drugged up boyfriend forcefully injected her with heroin or dope, and she was forcefully injected, and she wasn't given a choice. She wasn't given a choice. She wasn't given anything at all. And the truth is, most dodgy ass drug dealers who do this stuff, like meth, heroin, and all that other stuff, they will forcefully inject someone, and they don't have a problem doing it because they know that they'll get an addict that's hooked for life in most cases. And that's the fucked up part about that shit. I know for a fact, and talking to him, he's a good friend of mine, and he did say he couldn't understand it. And at the end of it, it wasn't her fault. At the end, it wasn't. Yeah, that's the ultimate truth. It wasn't her fault. She was forcefully injected. She was forcefully given the drug in the first place. And it's only because she got in with the wrong boy or wrong guy with a bad, probably a bad reputation as well, but he was an addict to begin with, so that probably didn't help. And that's the only freaking reason. The only freaking reason that she had to then turn to prostitution to fill and pay for her habit. Because the honest truth is, typically, meth, heroin, any ice, all this crap, it's going to cost you a bundle. It's, sometimes you're talking like per gram, like, Jesus, I don't know. I've never really looked into it myself. I've looked into some of it because there's a few documentaries I've watched as well, and I know a couple of people who, know about this stuff themselves because they've experienced it firsthand, not actually taking the stuff, but they've seen what it does to people, and they've been around people people who have had it. And, at the end of it, that's the thing, it's never good. It's never good with any of those heavier drugs because they really do fuck you up. But I've never considered herb a drug in my mind. It's not a drug in my mind. It never has been a drug. But meth, even OxyContin, for example, in its perfectly legal prescription, is a drug. It's definitely a drug because of the way it affects your body, not just the fact that the come down in most cases you feel. I've had personal experiences for myself, is with, those types of pills, is they really do fuck with your body. Not just that, but they fuck with your liver, they fuck with every part of your body. And they're not the best thing for your body at the end. But yeah, that's something I've learned. That's definitely something, and a lot of the things I've learned, some people with these drugs, and with certain illegal drugs, especially the higher ones, they're forced into the situation. They're forced into a negative situation. They get fucked in the fucking ass with it, basically, and they have no say in whether they get the drug or not. And, they end up getting hooked on it. The truth is, there's some things that are more addictive than others. I know with some people they have issues with codeine and OxyContins and Endone and stuff, and they have tons of problems with drugs like that. And that they're just perfectly legal drugs you get from your doctor in most cases. And I mean, it's pretty abundantly easy to get them in Australia, especially if you want it for chronic pain management or something. And the problem is a lot of those drugs, I think they are rather fucked up with how they treat you. Well, with how they treat your body in general, they make your body feel like. Well, sometimes they'll make you feel great at the time when you take them, but then there's a come down of coming off them. The other side of it too is what most illegal street dealers do is they cut, say, example meth and other drugs with those, prescription-based drugs, and it makes it more addictive. The other thing too that I didn't realise was a thing, and I found this out recently from watching a couple of documentaries offhand as well as doing my own research, is that when people do take certain drugs, for example, a painkiller, what will happen is, what some addicts actually do is they burn it down to the contents of the tablet, and they'll burn it down and they'll make it into a liquid, put it into a needle, inject it. But because of there's normally a cutting agent in there with most standard prescription drugs that stops it from being like an immediate hit to the brain. But because they get rid of that agent through basically turning it into a liquid and lining it with a lighter at the bottom and putting it on a spoon, which is pretty much traditionally how you do heroin. But this stuff, it's a prescription pill that they've done it to, and it's because of that cutting agent. It's more pure because most of the stuff that's pharmaceutical grade is always going to be more pure. Anybody who knows anything about these, whether it's drug dealers or anything like that these days, it's just fucking fucked. I don't think anybody should be forced into taking those drugs. That's the truth. I don't think it's all drugs that are bad. I think it's just people who get into bad situations who get those drugs forced upon them. Then there are people who don't. Then there's people who it's the total opposite. They choose to go after that drug, and that's their choice. And at the end of it, I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge somebody who takes those drugs too much if they've chosen to take the drugs. But if they've been forced in the situation and it's just simply because they're addicted that they're in that situation, then I'm going to have a bit more sympathy for them to a certain extent. Some people are going to turn around and say, isn't everybody the same when it comes to drug? No, not really. Because, anything can be addictive. Anything, like fucking caffeine, fucking any of the herbal remedies you take, especially if you're fucking... herbal remedies is not so bad. If it's a herbal-based medicine, right, that works in giving you a bit of a high and a buzz and a kick-up, most of those types of medicines are actually not going to be likely to be as addictive or going to fuck with you as much as something that's pharmaceutical grade, because pharmaceutical grade is purified. It's purified. It's not just that. It's probably got almost 90. If it's almost 99% purity, it's going to really screw with your system. That's the truth. I think I've learned a few things. Is that everybody's different. Everybody has a different pattern of behaviour. But I don't know. I try not to judge people. If they didn't want to get into that situation and they were forced into it, I get it, I understand it. It makes sense to me, and you know what? I am not going to penalise them for getting into the situation, for them being placed in that situation simply because of that fact, In the end of it, no, there's no judgments there. But there is judgments when you choose to do something. I do not, though, if you choose to, smoke a bit of herb, I don't have any judgment on you at all. Actually, I might have a toke. But anyway, that's my freaking point. This is my point, or the consistency this is the consistency that I've seen with some people. Sometimes sometimes it's a case of not knowing the full story and know exactly Firstly, if you don't know the full story of somebody's situation, how can you truly judge them? How not just that, but how can you truly give any advice to someone? At the end of it, if you're just going based on a biased opinion of society. Society in its own context is naturally biased towards people or certain types of people. I mean, God, we're even biased towards alcoholics. See, I've had some people have a go at me because I like alcohol, I like to drink. I don't think I should feel guilty for having a drink. I don't think I should feel guilty about, wanting to have a smoke if I want to have a smoke. I don't think anybody should feel guilty about those things because those are more widely accepted in society. Maybe people should feel guilty if they're, say, for example, they're so addicted to something for, some type of, well, ice, for example, which is a big epidemic in Australia, if they're addicted to something like ice and they're spending thousands of dollars on, they're spending thousands or $100 on fucking meth a week, and then they end up having to steal basically rob someone's house to get the money for it. Like, that's pretty bad. If you've got to that point in your life, then clearly you do have a really big issue, and you need to find, well, a rehab to help you out. And you know what? I feel some degree of sympathy for people in those situations, especially, you know, if you're in a negative situation like that. Perhaps you start... I mean, it's consistently possible that somebody started a drug because they had to deal with stress. And, you know, the problem is... I don't know, in that case, I would say it's probably better off finding some type of prescription drug that might be a little better for you than something illegal, because illegal drug's always going to... The problem with illegal stuff is there's no consistency in the way it's made. That's the truth. There's no consistency. It can be chemically cut with anything, including down to drain cleaner or some other random ass shit. At least with herb, you know, even if it's a street dealer, it's not going to be cut with much. And in most cases, it's rarely cut with anything. And if you know the dealer, you know the person in question, you know exactly what's going into it. Not just that, but it's a case of, you know, growing the plants, drying the plants, and there's rarely any real sort of, you know, bad chemicals involved in the whole process, you know. Unless there's something they're specifically cutting it with, like mescaline or something like that, or some other random fucking thing to go with it to make give it a bit more kick. But normally you know if they've cut it with that, and normally you can tell because of the way it makes you feel, you know. Not just that, but the high and everything else, if it does certain things to you, and you can normally tell if it's been cut with extra stuff, you know. But I don't know. I'd say most street dealers who do only sort of go with, you know, growing herb and distributing herb, they're more reliable than somebody who does ice, or a dealer that does ice, heroin, or, you know, meth, for example. Well, they're all the same context: meth, ice. I don't know. So it's derivative of it because there's all different types. Like, well, I don't know. As I said, some of the stuff I read up on myself, and some of the stuff I've talked to people about, and they said how bad people can be affected by it, what they've seen and experienced themselves. A friend of mine, I was talking to him, and he did say that, you know, it's bad when somebody gets forcefully put onto something when they had no intent of being on it in the first place. In most cases, it's when somebody gets into a relationship that ends up happening. They get into a relationship, and ultimately, when they're in that relationship, the person ends up getting so bad, or so fucking, like, the boyfriend's on it or whatever, you know, for example. And that's when the problems start. Like, that's the point. Like, that's when the issues start. That's pretty much when it all starts, you know. I do need to take the dog for a walk today, which I will do in a little while. I just saw him walk past before. I could see him in the camera. But yeah. Like I said, I don't place too much judgment on people, but I do try to... I try to have an open and objective mind, you know, and it's not the easiest thing to have in a society like ours, because sometimes people either think that you're too easygoing, or you know, I get there's situations where you turn around and say, fuck, you know, that shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be happening, you know, or there's times where I reckon you should, or what's the best context? Pick your battles. Pick the battles that you choose to fight in life, and it just makes sense to me. You're sort of stupid if you don't sort of step back from a situation and look and pick the battles that you want to fight. Whether it's for anything that you want to have consistently in your life, whether it's your kids, whether it's relationships, whether it's anything. You've got to look at the battles, and you've got to pick the right battles to fight at the time. Because sometimes you can just go off on a psychotic tangent. I know, I'm a big guilty of myself. A psychotic tangent with things, and that's when the problems start, because the issues that can start with a lot of that is that you'll go off on that tangent, and that'll be the ultimate problem, because you'll come on too strong, or you'll be too punch at it, you know, just punch on sort of thing. And the problem is you'll be so forcing yourself into it that you'll end up looking like the bad guy, and you'll end up looking like the crazy one, when in most cases it's a typical thing of sociopaths and psychopaths. They try to make the other person look crazy or crazy, So, you know, it's inherently bad if you're going to do it yourself like that all the time, especially these days. That's what I found so far. I have learned, though, that it's amazing the amount of fucking stuff that we have on, oh my god. I don't say... Look, I'll be honest, I don't freaking hate scammers. Well, no, I do. I hate scammers who particularly scam people. I hate scammers who go after pensioners and go after people on really low incomes who, you know, they only have so much money in a given situation. Not just that, but I hate the way that they treat those people on top of that. And the way that they seem to think that, you know, just because they can do it, you know. I mean, I've had some of the IT scammers from India, and I've just gone, what the fuck is seriously wrong with you cunts? Like, is there something seriously going on with you? Like, the amount of money, right, that these people have accumulated through simply it's an IT scam of, you know, fixing a computer, doing stuff like that. At the end of it, these people have shown a consistency of being assholes. Firstly, to this point, I would never. I mean, you're not going to go after somebody weak and like who's not weak, but I would say who's the downtrodden part of society. And I feel this because I used to be in that part of society myself. And, you know, fuck with them and take all their money. That's kind of fucking retarded. I would never do shit like that. That's just despicable. You know, I even have pensioner rates, you know, so... And that's just something I've learned, you know, just... I've learned good and bad things about society, and I think everybody's different. We're all different, we're all a little different, we're all a little crazy. It's just society, really. So, I am planning to get a new laptop, because there's one out there that I got from the junk pile. I sort of repaired it a bit, but it's sort of consistent at the moment, so I'm probably just going to end up buying myself something for around $500, maybe 300, depending on where I look around. I'll probably get an i5, most likely, with some type of SSD or something, maybe, or an SSHD. I did sell my original one anyway, but that's not an issue. Let's see. Toshiba L50D, B019, 15.6 inch, 477. So Dell Latitude. Oh, there's a couple of different modems and stuff here that I can see. Well, not modems, a couple of different laptops I'm looking into at this point. We'll see how it goes, but I don't know. Between that, the other side of it too, the other thing I was going to do as well is see if I can get myself a couple of new video cards at some point as an ultimate plan, but I don't know whether it's going to be now or later. The two cards that I mean, to be honest, at this point, I'm either going between two 1070s or two 1080s. Well, sorry, one at 1080. Just I'd only get one probably 1080 Ti or something. So something pretty strong. So I'm trying to figure out which is the best. I mean, the honest truth is, if I get a 1080 Ti, I know it's going to be a lot more consistent with temperatures, and it means that any other extra cards, like I'll probably still put an extra card in there. I'll probably leave one of my old 770s in there. I'll use it as a PhysX card, because I do know that actually does increase the system performance in general. So, let's see. We'll see how. I'd have to test it first, of course, but just to see exactly which direction it heads. So I'm waiting for a couple of things to arrive. I have not got everything in the mail yet so far. I've got to pay some bills. It's the end of the month. It's 17th. I will be paying some bills this week, and towards the end of the month. So, you know, when the pretty much, you know, it's adulting for you. You got to pay your bills. Got to be an adult sometime. So yeah, paying your bills and being consistent with your bills, that's the thing. So yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna get some bills. I'm gonna pay some bills. Pay some other stuff up that I need to pay. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Yeah. Don't see anything else really. At this point, there's no big stuff that's big priority for me at this point. I have a pouch of tobacco. if I want to smoke it through my pipe. I still have some wine. Well, I have wine in the fridge, which, you know, I might get some more. I might get another cask or something, to be honest. Have food. That's not the issue. I've got plenty of food. There's never an issue with food. I've always got food. That's never been an issue, really. Got a roof over my head. Rent and electricity to pay, which, having our nephew staying with us, our bill is a bit extra. I think we last time it was about $500, and this time around it's about $608 at the moment for our electricity bill. Internet, that's paid up, or will be paid up. It's due tomorrow. It's about $120. Aside from that, everything else is working. My computer's working. I'm streaming, so it's the other side of it too. Electricity, well, no problems with that. Not having any electricity issues of late. Yeah, no, it's been pretty good actually. It's been marvelous actually. Great, fantastic. Yeah, everything's paid up. A couple of things I wouldn't mind getting, which is obviously a new video card, but at this point, I'm gonna have to save a little extra cash for that. I have been putting away a certain amount of money, but I haven't got enough saved yet. The other thing too is I'm going to be budget conscious, so I'm going to try and get the best pricing when I do finally end up getting all the money together, and saving enough for it. I'm going to ultimately, or the plan in the end is to buy the best possible 2 cards I can buy. But I'm going to buy, say, 2 for like. Well, I'm going to see if I can get like the best prices I'm seeing is about $400 to $500 per card, depending on where I'm looking. And the honest truth is I have to have a look around and see exactly where the best place is to buy this stuff, at this point anyway. I've learned some online retailers are okay and their pricing is great. Some online retailers charge way too much. And the other side of it too is, you know, it depends on whether you get it on eBay or whether you get it on a third-party warehouse type site. The other side too is it always helps to check the shopping databases online to see exactly what is available in that sense, you know. Yeah, that would be the most consistent thing anyway. So yeah, I mean, at this point I'm waiting for that. I also would recommend, yes, that's another thing too. If you are coming across, now anybody with a Windows-based computer, please update your computer to the latest Windows updates, because there is a ransomware out that will encrypt the fuck out of your data, so if you lose your data, you are fucked. Simple as this, it cannot be unencrypted. Your data would take 1,000 years to unencrypt, basically. So if you do get, or do come across this ransomware, which is, they call it WannaCry encryptor, or encryptor combination, yep, definitely. So yeah. So these fidget spinner things, apparently, I just saw this documented case on. I'll show you. Not documented case, but I'm guessing everything gets posted on social media these days. So let's just, a friend of mine sort of posted it. So let's have a look. Okay, so as you can tell, apparently these fidget. Well, this is not here. That's in America. Apparently, her daughter was cleaning part of this in her mouth and she swallowed it. You can tell there's going to be a lawsuit with this, because that's what happens every time there's fucking something like that happens. I mean, the truth is, I don't know how young her daughter is. I don't know how old she is. Yeah, I feel a bit of sympathy, but I also feel a bit of fact that maybe the mother should have been keeping a bit of an eye on her with something like this, especially if she's a younger girl. Like, why? Okay, firstly, there's nothing wrong with giving them something like this, but I don't know. I mean, does it say how old the girl was in question? I mean, I get that she probably accidentally swallowed it. That's cool. But I mean, after a certain age bracket, like I think after 10, your children should not be should have some common sense to not always put things in their mouth and not always do things of that nature. Like that's just a general common sense thing. I don't know. Maybe it's just how I feel about it, but. If you have young kids under 8 years old. Okay, this is my point. Okay, she's under 8. That is a fair point. See? She's under 8. Why did you get her one of these? I think there's probably an age recommendation on these, and there's probably going to be an age recommendation on them. I'm damn sure there probably would be an age recommendation on them at some point. So, yeah, if she's under that age... So, apparently, anyway, it swallowed... Yeah. If your child is under 8, I'm sort of gonna... Like, I think any kid under a certain age bracket, I don't think they should be playing with toys like this. Like, my niece, she's about 10 now, I think. So, you know... like anybody in that early age bracket, you know, like just common sense. You don't put freaking shit in your mouth. Maybe it's just the fact that I never really swallowed anything when I was a kid. I think the worst I ever did was break my bloody finger. Well, I've got my hand slammed on my finger, and I fucking got a rock to the head because of rock testing our freaking you know, hideout thing that we'd made up in the freaking woods. And we were rock testing to see if, you know, rocks would get through. But, yeah. See, I feel sympathy, but I don't, because it's kind of... Like, if your child has something like this device, and she's under 8 years old, wouldn't you want to keep an eye on her straight away? Like... See, I'm the type of parent... I would be the type of parent I'd be overly cautious about that. I'd be overly cautious and I'd be concerned and always checking on the child. That's just me. My mum was the same. My mum, like, every time that I ever had anything in my mouth, or she thought I had something in my mouth, she'd always check. She'd always have a go at me for that, you know. She'd always say, "Oh, no, don't swallow that," you know. I mean, I don't know. But my mum was always the type of person who generally, she would, you know, she'd always point out when something was risky. You know, not always, but yeah. It's not as if it was always the case, but like, I can just see this I could see that turning into a lawsuit right now. And I'm sorry, but she doesn't really have a leg to stand on, like in lawsuit sense, because, okay, there's nothing wrong with... I mean, there's nothing wrong with that... Obviously nothing wrong with the device, because the device is designed the way it's designed, you know. It's not actually that, it's the fact that the device itself... I don't know, Jesus, it's kind of stupid. Fuck. I don't know. I just think if your child doesn't have enough sense to be able to even, you know... Well, okay, the child's under 8. So that's probably just, you know, that's the age bracket where you probably want to watch them. Any you know, even lower age brackets, you probably want to watch them too. But this could be a fake story. I don't know. I don't know whether it's real. I'm judging it based on the photos. The photos seem reasonably real. The mother... The mother... I don't know. She seemed... I mean, the picture... Don't get me wrong. The pictures seem real. Guessing she is a real person. Let me just have a look at the quick profile. So that's there, as you can see, 20k results. At the end of it, I think it's good that she shared it, because at least she, you know, if that is the case. I mean, look, I'm not saying all stories are fake, but there are some stories that I've come across on Facebook, and I have to question the validity of them just because of how they come across. Not just that, but you know, it's the fact that some of them are quite believable, and some of them, you know, have some proper facts on them. But, you know, I don't know, anyway, what the fuck. Like I said, look, I don't think it's everything, but, you know. I don't know. Some stories I think have consistency, and some things I think actually have merit, and I think people do, you know, at the end of it. I love the troll groups. I really do. Actually, I know there's an entire troll shit that just cracks me up. I love troll groups. I really do. That's fucking hilarious. Sorry, I was just reading one of the stories that I just posted. That's hilarious. Oh my fucking god! Wow. Oh shit! Right. No, yeah, different consistencies, I guess. Oh my god. So yeah, back to where I was. Just talking about different things. Oh shit. Right. Oh. 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 That kind of cracks me up with some of this shit. I don't know. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. Some is just like, what the fuck. I don't know. I'm gonna get my pipe. Go outside and have a bit of a smoke, and then I'll probably come back and get another coffee. Take my phone with me, maybe. Because I can stream on my phone. Though, what do I feel like? Repairs. Well, no, I haven't really... No, I've had a few on repairs. I had a repair yesterday. That was good. That was actually great, in fact. That was fucking great. Yep, it was true, dude. I had somebody comment on my status. Dude, I've been saying this shit for weeks now about the way fucking Telstra and shit have been treating their crap. Like, they're fucking idiots, I'm sorry, but Telstra pisses me off with the shit that they do, man. Telstra just, no comment, really. No fucking comment. This is my point, you know, really, just like, what the fuck, you know? I have been seeing a lot of issues with Telstra, and Telstra, I will say, are fucking assholes when it comes to a lot of this shit. They're claiming that all the technology, I mean, it's a mixture of technologies, you'll get no argument from me, but I'm sorry, but look, half this stuff doesn't work because the government didn't take into consideration it was a mixture of technologies. And I will be honest. I will be fucking honest and truthful. This is the truth, alright? And this is just something I feel from a personal perspective point. That when it comes to a lot of that shit, the reason that the government fucks so much shit up with the NBN is because they didn't go fibre to the premises. I will be saying this till I'm blue in the fucking face, but it's true. And I'm telling you, that's the total and utter truth of it all. So far, what I figured out myself. So, yeah. Fucking stupid. See, this is the reason that I hate governments. Not all governments, just probably our own and a couple of other governments too. fucking cold. Alright. Tobacco. A lighter collection. It's small that it may be, but it's a good lighter collection. So yeah. It's not a bad morning indeed, motherfuckers. Alright. Thank you very much. And then I'm still doing live stream. What? What? What do you want? What do you want? Hmm? It's all about you, apparently. Supposedly. That's the reason. Yeah, just don't eat more of that fucking stupid rabbit crap. It's down at the bottom of the cage, but seriously, dog. Look at me now, eh? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Could be something really. Oops. Tilt that a bit more. There we go. Ah. What? What? Fly me to the moon. Do 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 da 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 dum. La da 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 dee 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 da 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 da. Oh, in other words. So, I would be working in my workshop today, but I can't really do that because my sister has taken up the entire fucking workshop with her massive ass tiles that she's using for, actually, I can go to the workshop today. The only thing I've been working on is mainly the workbench computer because it hasn't been updated for a while. And because of that new ransomware, I don't want to get that fucking caught in my bee's bonnet because it's not IT stuff. So what I actually need to do is, I need to go out there, update it, which I was in the process of doing that. I still need to update my dad's computer because he uses his, not so much now that my nephews are here, but he does use it pretty regularly, so I have to update that as well because I don't want it to get the WannaCry ransomware / virus worm. It's not really a virus, it's a worm pretty much. Spreads through your network. He's pretty funny. He's a pretty funny dog most of the time. He's also a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes, but I've actually liked having him here for the past few weeks, until the point that my sister ends up leaving. Sorry, not her. She's staying at a hotel, but after the boys leave and the dog leave. Including the rabbit and the mouse. We've got a rabbit, mouse, fish, dog. The whole zoo. We just need a fucking giraffe, you know, don't we? What? You want a giraffe? How does that sound? Giraffe? Giraffe? You want a giraffe? Yes, you want a giraffe. Hmm? Little bugger. Check him. Giraffe falling into a fucking zoo, man. What? What? What do you want? I have this food out there. I left a bowl of food out there for you. I left a bowl of water. I know I need to take you for a walk at some point, but I'm not doing it now. I'm not doing it now. I said in the afternoon. It's only 11:55 AM at the moment. It's not time to go for a walk yet. Go for a walk a little bit later, alright? Okay. Oh my god. Ah! Why are you climbing on me?
Yes, I love you.
What? What? Crazy fucking dogs. It's not all animals. Every single animal in this house is so fucking crazy. Aren't they? Yes, they are. They're so fucking crazy. They're so fucking crazy. What do you want? Yeah, well, shake yourself everywhere. You know there is food out there. Come here. Biscuits. Yeah, we've got dog biscuits for you. Big question. Yeah. alright for now. Oh, I put that fresh food down there for him this morning, so he should be okay now. He should be reasonably okay anyway. Oh, fucking cunt. What's this fucking browser? Fucking cunt of a fucking glitch. Fucking bullshit, cunt face, fucking asshole, prick. Saying, fuck you, computer. Fuck you and your inconsistencies, you bitch. There we go. Top of the fucking morning to you, laddie. There we go. Alright. So I've refilled the dog's water. And that stuff around. There's a couple of dishes in the sink, not too many, so I'll probably do those in a minute. It's not a major issue though. Right. What else am I going to do? Check my fucking emails. Sorting through those is fun sometimes. Particularly with the amount of fucking spam that I get. Let's see, Outlook. Gmail. Yahoo. Excuse me. Gmail. Yahoo! Anybody remember that? It's a good ad. Anyway. Next. Streams galore. Tons of streams actually. People are doing streaming, which I'm doing right now myself as personal preference points. So I'm logging into my Outlook and clear out my shitty, trashy emails, which is a bit frustrating sometimes when you have to clear all that shit out. That's all bullshit. That's all bullshit. Some of that's just it's random spam. Are you paying too much for your car? I see. Country is not always fun. Alright. So okay, so most of that's just old stuff anyway. I created a postage label, posted off something to somebody on eBay. Let's see, what have we got? Spam! People spam! Ish. Okay. I've got about 32 spam emails at the moment that actually were caught by my spam filter, and the rest of them, some of them are just fucking retarded because they didn't get caught, but that's unfortunate. It's probably about 32%, I think. Shit, there we go. Miracle gummies. Oh my god, fuck off that shit. Delete that. Delete that, delete that. Fuck off. Fucking spam! My kingdom for a spamless world. Fuck off. Warranty notification? What's my warranty notification? Apparently I have a car. I have a car I didn't even know I bought. Delete. Fucking delete. Christ. My items got relisted on eBay, that's good to know. Oh, he's eating his food. Oh, and here, clever little shit. Actually managed to get him to eat it. It's amazing. Amazing. Archive some of my emails. So yeah, my inbox, before I clean it out, normally looks like this. You name it, I get it in roughly spam terms anyway. Some of these are legitimate emails, they're actually from places where I buy computer parts and stuff. Some of them are not, some of them are just illegitimate advertisements that are giving me the shits. But that's pretty much what my, so just there. Pretty much what my freaking inbox looks like half the time, so I've got to sort through that shit. Then I have my spam folder, which only gets filled to about there. Sometimes more. If I leave it a few days, it normally fills up pretty quick. Empty that, delete. Don't need these fucking emails. And that can just delete all too. And it just tells me when people are streaming, when they aren't streaming, gives me notifications as well as that. It also gives me notifications of other things. Authorization, for example, of my Twitter and stuff on different devices and stuff like that. Just a bunch of fucking different, oh my god, some of the inconsistent shit that I get. And some of the good shit that I get is good too, you know, I do get some good shit from time to time. And of course the latest ZDNet tech stuff, I get up to there with that. Some later newsletters and things like that, some Steam stuff related to the games that I buy and I purchase and stuff. What else? Online games. Yeah. That's lovely, isn't it? Delete. Oh my fucking god, seriously. It's not one thing, it's the other. There's my mobile phone bill. Comes in on every 15th of the month. It's due by the 30th of May. I need to pay that, so I will pay that soon. That's $73 for my mobile bill. What else have we got here? Delete. Most of this other stuff is just random stuff that I've had in my system for a while. Unless that needs to be sorted through at some point, so I just, initially anything I really want, say for example like a Susia, I might stick on that and just look and see what the latest releases are from them. What else? Let's see. Shopping Express too. These guys are pretty good for pricing. I've had no bad experiences with most of the... Actually, my last hard drive, and up until the point that didn't fail now, that's the last hard drive I bought, which was my Mother SSD. I bought that from them. So yeah, is it on? Just turned it on. Just turn it off anyway. Yeah, so they're not too bad for pricing. Some of their IT stuff's interesting, some of it's not. Some of it's irrelevant to me, and sometimes I see a random bargain that I think might be worth the money. So yeah. 480.35. I don't mind these guys too much. Their pricing is normally reasonably okay. That's probably about it, really. Some of this stuff is relevant, some of it isn't, you know. Dreaming, I'm dreaming my life away. And then, of course, Twitter follows and everything else. That's always nice. Some of that stuff is just mostly, but most of it's bullshit anyway. I know if there's any herbal remedies I want, I was researching beforehand myself. That's another bullshit email too. Oh, fuck off. Oh, for fuck's sake. Fucking emails. Sometimes I report them, sometimes I don't. It just depends on if I consistently get them anyway, because I mean I've reported them half a dozen times as it is. So most of the time if I've reported in the past, I just delete the fucking email and not worry about it. What's this? Oh, Lawbreakers. That's right. Yeah, that's a game. I do sign up to different, what do you call it? Sometimes different betas and stuff just to see what they're like. So yeah, that's interesting. Anybody want the beta key? Grab it. I'm probably not going to use it, so fuck it. Take it. I may use it. No, I probably won't. No, I probably won't. So yeah, JB Hi-Fi stuff as well. I do buy from these guys, and I have bought from these guys in the past, so let's go through some of the stuff and technology. Hey! Leave me alone! Very good, dog. Very good. Okay. Yeah, so... let's see. Apparently... Okay, I don't know what that is. Telstra check-in. I think fucking Telstra get enough money out of me with my fucking mobile bill, to be honest. Thing I do want to do though is buy a lottery ticket, because I haven't bought one for a while, and occasionally I just dip it in and see if I'm going to win any money or not. I might do that. I might go and buy like $15, $20 lottery ticket or something. I'll buy it locally. I don't know. Oh, there's no news agency where we are down the road, so I can't really do it locally, can I? I'd have to go to I'd have to definitely buy it online. I don't see any other way of getting around. Maybe I'll buy one tomorrow. I'll buy one tomorrow. Well, there's a couple of lottos. Let me just have a look. I am part of lotteries. Is there any recent draws or big ones coming up? This Thursday. Alright. Tough decision. Should I buy it? It's 3 million. Alright, I got enough fucking money for it, so that's not a fucking issue, cunt. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Fuck you, fuck everybody, fuck the whole entire lot. I'll just put it on the other screen while I'm doing this, just to protect my own financial information. So check out. Log in. And I will buy myself a ticket. Check out. So I bought myself 18 games worth, $18.90, standard games. And yeah. Let's see if I win some money. That'd help. I mean, not that I don't have money, it's just, you know, there's times where I only have enough to cover my bills, basically, so I don't always have extra spending money. I wish I did sometimes. I mean, I think the last time I bought that SSD, it did leave me a bit flat for a few weeks. So that's a bit of a consistency problem I'm having, though. And it would help to be able to invest back into my my business as well. Pay $10.90. Yes, I do. I want to pay with PayPal. Thank you very much. Pay. You are eligible for PayPal buyer protection. I wonder how that works with lottos. Like, technically, if you didn't win anything with your lotto, could like, fucking technically just speaking, would you be able to get your money back because you didn't win anything? No, I realise it doesn't work that way because, you know, it's lotto, it's a gamble, you take a gamble on it anyway. Processing. Come on. There we go. Total. And my accounts. So yes. You. Right. Should receive an email for that. And I have bought myself a lotto ticket. With the 3 million draw. Perfect. Very good. Those are the last few tickets I bought a while back. I bought one for $26.10. Bought one for $16. That was a Saturday Lotto a while back, but I just thought I'd have a bit of a flutter this time. Only $18.90, not too expensive. Thursday the 18th of May 2017. So we'll see how that goes. Up and coming ticket and see how well I go. Okay. We'll log out of that. Very good. So, $3 million. That'd be nice. I'm not greedy. I don't want like 30 million. 3 million will do me. At least I can buy a freaking new car for Dad. I can buy a new car for Dad. I can buy an actual house because we're currently renting. So you know, there's a few things I wouldn't mind getting actually. New house. Well, might even buy this house. Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be good. I like that. I'd invest a bit back in my business, put so much into stock exchange. The rest, I'd try to put a bit in the bank so I could live off it. And yeah, so it's definitely what I. Well, I mean, my ultimate business plan would be to start my business off a lot more, and I could do some brick and mortar type thing. But I mean, at the end of it, I'm not in a rush for that. I can just, for the moment, start with that and just work my way up. But yeah, I'm not a greedy guy. As long as I have enough to pay my bills and consistently work through things, that's the main thing. That's Lotto Land. I remember signing up to these guys a while back. When was this? I don't remember exactly when that was, but oh god. I probably created the. I most likely created an account when I was drunk and I just didn't realize I created it. That's happened a couple of times to me with some accounts. I didn't realize I created them until like I was pretty drunk at the time. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize I created that. Well, I mean, when I go back and I look at the details, I was like, oh yes, now I remember creating that. That's a couple of times I've forgotten that I've created it. Auto. Wait a second, why didn't it take me directly to it? Let's look. It's going to take me to some dodgy site or not, because I don't know whether that's actually a real one or not. Oh, let's see. See if I actually have any sign-in details for this, I wonder. Probably not. I'd say this is the only real sort of gambling at all that I do. To be honest. Like, if I do any type of gambling, it's just this. As I've never really been a big poker machine type person. I've never been a card gambler myself. No, apparently not. So I guess I didn't create. Well, that's not a problem. I wasn't really going to go for it anyway. Yeah, so. Every treasure on earth to be young at heart. Hey, mate. That's good numbers. So we'll see if I win something. I'll win something. If I don't, I don't. We'll see. You know, if I did. Still stop for these other bloody emails. Catch of the Day sometimes have some good specials too. They don't always have them, but they do have them from time to time. So fucking why is this thing always chucking a spaz at me? Fucking retarded. Chucking a spaz! Don't do it. Asshole. There we go. So let's see if that actually works. So yeah. Lotto games, charity auctions, obviously. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to close that for now. Close that. Close that. Go to that. I'm thinking here. I just want to close. It looks a bit. Some big glasses. Anyone want a big glass? Navigation software. Watches. Yep. It's kind of bullshit stuff anyway. TV. Oh, that's not bad. 32 inch. Not megapixels though, is it? I'd probably want to see the specifications before I even touched it. That's a smart TV, okay. Hello, details. Oh, I'm gonna click, okay. Okay, it has got 1080p, which is not bad considering. It's a smart TV, it's got everything else built into it, wall mountable, USB 2.0 connections, remote control. These are wall mount support, power cable, slim gender cable, user manual. Yeah, okay. It's actually not bad. For the specifications, it's got a 1 year manufacturer's warranty included. It's not actually that bad. I'd probably buy it as a replacement for the smart TV I'm using as a monitor at the moment. I'd probably buy it as a replacement. I mean, if I had the money, obviously. At this point, I still got bills to pay, so depends on how much. It depends on how much is left over when I pay by the time I pay my bills. Really. So anyway. Let's see. Two other ones anyway, so scroll down a bit. I do like some of these bargain sites because they do actually have some cheap stuff. Not all of it is cheap, but some of it is. Kogan's pretty good for cheap electronics. 42%. 56%. I mean, I don't know. Look at this. Put it this way. Anywhere I can save a buck, I always make sure I try and do that. So. What's what here is Microsoft Store. Delete that. Delete that. Who is that? Looks like emails mostly. So I bought myself a ticket. Thursday's draw, so we'll see how we go. What else we got? Indigo's got some interesting projects and stuff. I'm still waiting on a fucking product that I was supposed to receive months ago, so... Oh well, eventually I'll get it. That always happens though. I've bought a couple of products and I haven't received them for months on end, and then finally it shows up and I'm like, what the fuck? It was a... what was it? It was a phone stand. That's it. It was a phone stand. I mean, I've got one here that's sort of temporary. It's works in my... it's built into my keyboard, but I wanted a proper one, so I bought this one that looked interesting on Indigo. I'm still waiting for that product though. If I do not get it, I will be complaining and I will be blasting their ass on YouTube, by the way. Where's cancelling? Okay, yeah. Oh, these guys, yes, I do. I shop with these guys on eBay. So let's see. I can honestly say... combat chair. See, $269 for a chair is okay. I think that's pretty reasonable. I paid $170 something for this one behind that I'm currently on. $269 I can justify. I can't justify like almost $400 for a freaking chair. That's ridiculous. $269, $299, yeah, I can justify that. I can't justify any more than that, to be honest. Keyboards. 1080. Ooh, okay. Well, that's not too bad. That's actually pretty cheap. I've seen these for 1,200 on a lot of sites. So $999 is pretty good. So if I bought one of those, I'd probably be set for a while. Then since gaming, like being able to game and be able to stream and everything else. Although I would definitely not buy the Founders Edition. I don't like the way. I don't like the design of the cooler. I'll be honest. I hate the fucking design of that cooler. It shits me because it's never really been a design I've liked, and like I said, it just fucking shits me. Be honest. That type of cooler has never. That type of cooler I've never liked. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't buy that. I'd buy something with 3 fans on it at least. It's just better for the cooling of the card. Remote control TP-Link light globes with speakers, RGB lighting. 2.1 gaming system. That's not bad actually. That would definitely be. Let's have a look at that one. Because I haven't seen anything from Creative. Sound Blaster for a while. I haven't seen anything from these guys for a long time. So let's have a look at this. It's the specs. See, I'd have to compare it to my current one to find out exactly how well it is. It is. Must be software controlled, I guess. Interesting. Has a micro USB cable, so it connects via USB. I'm just using it. Assuming it uses its own sound system. So that will make sense. Plus, I'm guessing it's got a sort of RGB lighting stuff on it. So, yeah. Interesting. That's actually not bad. I just don't know what level it's at because I want to know whether my current system's stronger than that system. 2.1. No idea. That's an USB analog. It doesn't actually say the strength. I see it. I want to know how many watts it is. That's what I want to know. I'd like to know exactly how many watts it is. That's the problem. I don't know why, but my freaking Facebook is playing up something severe. What the fuck? Kind of weird because my Facebook's. Oh, anyway, it's alright. I'm gonna reboot my machine. That always fixes every problem. I swear to God. I do sign up for petitions as well online. Sometimes I'll support them if I've got enough money to do it. I don't mind doing that. But you know what? I'm going to reboot my machine because my machine needs it. And I will be back shortly.